Hello, friends, and welcome to all new Snap Judgments. As always, I'm Roy Rogers, and joining me today is my friend and yours, the one, the only, the CEO and God Emperor of the Snap Judgments Network, Aaron Glazer. Glazer, my friend, how are you on this lovely end of May day?
I'm going to go Daenerys Targaryen at the end of Thrones on you if you keep with the God Emperor things. Just saying, if you really hate King's Landing, keep this shit up.
Any generosity that I had towards you and willingness to not say what I wanted at the beginning of this was burned as I was editing the audio-only episode of last week's episode where I was not on, where I am here supposed to ask you about the weather. But instead, what I will do is ask you, how was your Memorial Day weekend, which is a very popular holiday here in the United States?
It was good. We got season passes to Lake Compound, so
fancy.
Terrible water park. It's like $120. So it was not expensive. It's a terrible water park. Drove all the way up there. The water main broke. Went to the hotel. The hotel's pool wasn't heated and was like negative 20 degrees. It was but there was a friendly. But there was a friendlies, and whenever there's a friendlies, things are good.
Oh, wow. Okay, that makes all of that good. You got to go to friendlies. Okay, that is fine. It was my 5th wedding anniversary this past weekend, so that's what I was celebrating. One of the many reasons I was not, thank you very much, that I was not on last week's episode. But I'm happy to be here this week. And Glazer, what special guests do we have with us this week?
We've got the one and only. I think this is the fastest we've ever had a guest on back-to-back. It's Gregor, 2424. Hey, Gregor.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. How are you, and how can our friends find you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm glad I was able to sub today and come on again. And you can find me basically everywhere at Gregor2424. The only one that's a little bit different is Twitter. You can find me at Gregor_2424. For all things Snap, and yeah, that's kind of the thing.
Awesome. And please do so. Gregor is also a member of our stream team, so if you want to watch decks get played, Gregor is one place to go. Another place to go is GamingwithFlashX, who is so kind at doing this that he streams not even at midnight for me.
Yes, that is true. I've now making a habit of not streaming at midnight as part of the midnight gang. But as part of the stream team, we like to do things before midnight. But you can find me on Twitter, which is the one that's different seemingly for everybody because Twitter has these stupid rules about names and whatever. But at GWFlashX, but everywhere else, which is YouTube, Twitch, I'm at GamingwithFlashX. Very easy to find there otherwise.
I don't usually say this at the beginning. I usually save the spiel for at the end. But these are two people you need to follow now. Like, pause the episode. Please come back. Don't forget we exist. But pause the episode and go find them. You will not regret this.
All right. Well, if you want to pause the episode and follow us, you can also engage with us on social media. We are on the hellscape known as X, formerly known as Twitter, at SnapJudgeCast. But way more important than Elon Musk's death website is the fact that we are proud to be the official podcasting partner of Marvel Snap Zone. We are asking you, our friends, to join us on the Marvel Snap Discord, where you, when Aaron is bored, can get at-alled when a new episode of Snap Judgments launches.
That was the best day ever.
These are all the amazing things you can get besides the normal awesome Discord stuff that you get in the Marvel Snap Zone Discord, which is, of course, the best large Discord in all of Marvel Snap. If you want to send us the electronic equivalent of snail mail, our email is snapjudgmentspodcast@gmail.com. And I promise you, Aaron is one day going to find your email through all of the kick spam that he subjected us to. But most importantly, each and every day, except for the days that the podcast comes out, you can get a daily Snap take on our YouTube. Sometimes you get 2 a day. That is just how prolific Aaron is on our YouTube, which is at Snap Judgments Pod. Aaron, my friend, if our loyal listeners were to become our loyal viewers, what would they find on the YouTube right now?
I had too many decks, so I think every single day this week except Friday. Nope. Weekend mission decks. I've done no less than 4 new decks every single day. One day I did 30 decks or so. Yeah, it's been a week. If you want some new decks, if you want some decks to try, I bet you there's something there for you.
Awesome. Final piece of social media is our Patreon. Unlike some Patreons in some podcasts out there in the world, we are not a pyramid scheme. We are a reverse pyramid scheme. All right. The money that we get from the Patreon goes straight out to you, our loyal listeners. For example, amazing tournaments we run. The Snap Judgments League, which is run by friend of the show and fellow troublemaker Gunny T, is currently running. There are weekly tournaments. There are all kinds of amazing things that you can get for only $1 a month. But there's even more awesome bonus content that you get from Aaron, sometimes from me, for more money. So if you want to see the kind of things to the community that Aaron does on this show, on the YouTube, with the tournaments, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/snapjudgments. All right.
Can I advertise a thing for there?
Sure, of course. That is literally what this segment of the show is for.
Fair.
Which you completely forgot last week when I wasn't on the show.
I literally, I post on the Patreon every day. For something I do every day, I think of it amazingly rarely. That's not like an insult. I still put stuff up literally daily. So last time Lambie was on the cast, we were going to do a question and Lambie answer section, and we didn't have time. So in the reverse pyramid scheme way of doing things, I paid Lambie and sent him the questions, had him record his answers, and he made us like a 40-minute exclusive video answering a bunch of questions. So if you join the Patreon,
Holy
you can
shit.
also get that.
That is some really great content. And that's at the $10 tier, Aaron?
$5. I was
$5.
Okay, $5 tier. So if you want a 40-minute exclusive Lambie video, check it out.
$5, which will almost certainly go to some giveaway, like...
Oh, look at the transition! I'm so proud.
All right. He was so slow on it for our viewers. Explain, Aaron, the giveaway that's going on.
All right, I'm giving away 5 season passes. I'm giving away 5 more on Twitter. I just have to find time in my life to post it on Twitter. But the basic gist is I'm going to ask you to comment something on this video at some point in this podcast. I'll try and keep it within the first half hour or so for those of you, so I'm not being a huge ordeal on your life. You leave a comment on this podcast on the YouTube. Shut up, you. You leave a comment on the podcast and you're entered to win one of 5 season passes. There is something in every single video going from, I want to say, Wednesday's video to, I don't know, whatever 5 days is from Wednesday. I teach English. But that many videos, there will be something to comment and you enter to win a season pass. It's been really simple. It's been really successful. People are enjoying it. Hopefully you win. Yes, you, dear listener, who's clearly who I'm talking to.
There we go. Exciting times. All right. We are done with the self-promotion. And now we're on to the card that just came out this week. Sasquatch. Everybody's favorite member of Alpha Flight, said no one.
This is not a member of Alpha Flight.
I thought Sasquatch was a member of Alpha Flight. Am I wrong?
Yes, Sasquatch is. Not this Sasquatch.
Okay. Sure.
Gregor, would you like to explain?
I think I understand. There's a whole lot of stuff about Sasquatch. There's 2 different Sasquatch variants. I believe this one is the lady variant. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Gregor, do you know what the lady variant is from?
It's Exiles, right?
Exiles, I assume?
Yeah.
This is the Exiles.
Yeah, because that's the season, because it wouldn't make sense otherwise.
Okay.
This is Heather of Alpha Flight fame, but not Alpha Flight in this universe. Instead, Exiles.
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, everyone's favorite alternate version of an Alpha Flight character, Sasquatch, which is a Series 5 card that will cost you 6k tokens if you don't want to spend your spotlight caches. It's a 610. It has the text, costs 1 less for each card you played last turn. Flash, Thoughts about this card?
In a proverbial vacuum, Sasquatch is just a good card in Marvel Snap. It's a 6/10 that is often 3/10, 4/10. I would say on average, it should be a 3 or 4/10 generally. And in no world ever is that a bad thing in Marvel Snap. We've seen 4/10s with negative downsides. Sentry before its nerf. Crossbones was hard to pull off for, forever. Cull Obsidian came in and has a condition that's easy to meet. This card, on average, as a 4/10 with no difficult condition to meet, is just good. Now, some people are bored with the fact that, it's just another big vanilla card. I get that. That's fair. That's a fair point. However, it's a good card in Marvel Snap. Hard stop.
Gregor?
I agree. I think we need those big vanilla cards. I feel like we get one every season. And I haven't had a ton of time with Sasquatch yet. I haven't really played much decks with Sasquatch yet. I probably will over this weekend. But immediately I saw the stat line and the conditions, and I'm like, oh, this is a great card. You can do this in combination with Mockingbird. You get down 19 power for basically nothing. That's just good value right there.
I don't know if we're getting any more vanilla big cards for a little while after this. I'm literally frantically trying to search this as we're talking, because you're 100% correct. We've gotten like a bajillion and a half of these in a row.
Yeah.
But I think we might be done. Am I like crazy?
No, I think you're right.
Athena, Cersei, Makari, Fastos. None of those are the big dumb idiots. Arishem could be a big dumb idiot, but really isn't. Hydra Bob, Ajax, maybe Ajax, Copycat, but Ajax and Copycat's not exactly what we're talking about. Copycat, Cassandra Nova. No, we're 2-month big dumb idiot free, finally. For the first time since like Blob season.
Yep.
That's wild. Alright. Yeah, look. This card is in more fun builds than I thought it would be. It's better in bounce than I thought it would be. It's I worry that this is going to take over the meta. With enough time. But it's been healthy largely because, and we'll talk more about this later, the meta became Hella and Bounce for like 3 days, and then everyone was like, you know what beats Hella and Bounce? Professor X and Cannonball. And then every deck was running Professor X and Cannonball for like a little bit. And like the Sasquatch Mockingbird decks do not give a shit about Professor X Cannonball because they're putting enough big stats down that like good luck winning that Professor X lane. And if you're not winning your Professor X lane, then all of a sudden that Cannonball is way less scary. It is not alive at that point. So, I'm worried that this is going to take over the meta, and yeah, otherwise it's great.
Yeah, I agree.
I could see that like higher skills of play, especially with bounce. Like if a really good bounce player can do their thing.
I mean, so I've been talking to Gio about bounce. Like I'm literally at this point going to send Gio 10 games of me playing bounce. Because I'm like, there's a disconnect here because I dominate in Conquest on tournaments. I played Flash with bounce, right? Like I'm good with bounce. But on ladder, my win rate and cube rate is always mediocre with bounce. Like it's not terrible by any means, but it's not like what it is with just a regular good stuff deck. So I was like, what the fuck? And like, so I asked both Lamby and .geo. I would ask Sizer, but Sizer doesn't give any shit about bounce. Sizer plays lockdown. He plays like W shit. But they were like, here's like a bunch of tips and stuff. And then, yeah, I played the Geo Sasquatch bounce deck on ladder and went 0-6 for like negative 20 cubes, which is like not a fucking thing that happens to me, especially with bounce. So like, I was like, what the fuck? What is wrong with me? And then I took it in Conquest and I immediately got into it with ease. Like no
Interesting.
problem. So
what were you getting beat by?
Everything. It didn't matter. I was just like, so Lamby's explanation seems to be what Gio agrees with, is that bounce is a deck that really, really benefits from you knowing exactly how tall your opponent can go at the start of the game because it affects how you play your early turns. like there's times when you want, like the easiest example is there's times when you're perfectly fine hooding and seeing if you can bounce it and just sort of leaving that -3 there, and because you can do enough other things to offset, right? But there's times when you'd rather save hood till turn 2 or 3 to immediately bounce it because you don't want to risk getting locked up, there being a problem in that lane that you can't get it out. That kind of thing changes a lot based on what you're playing against. And once I know what I'm playing against, I sort of, just because I played it so much, inherently know what to do. But if I messed up those early turns in any way, now I'm losing lanes by like 2 points.
So that makes sense why it would be better in Conquest, is because you're learning what your opponent is playing instead of having a one chance, one and done.
Well, especially with Sasquatch, because Sasquatch, in bounce, Sasquatch is a turn 6 play. What you're trying to do is you're trying to beast on 4, do your Hit Monkey Mysterio nonsense on 5, and then Sasquatch on 6. And Sasquatch is basically free at that point.
Just about.
You need to set up for that, right? Like, you might even want a Mysterio Sasquatch on 2-3 if you know you're playing a Mobius Professor X deck.
Yep.
And that like changes your whole game plan, right? Like you can learn to do that in game 2. They're supposedly, I mean, they're better than almost everyone is, right? Like these are the best players in the world. They say there are ways to mitigate that and to play around that and to figure that out earlier, even like as you start getting into games. So I'm going to try and learn it, and if I can learn it, I will do my best to pass it on to viewers. But like, I think Sasquatch is, generally speaking, a bounce card for Masters and no one else. I think most people are going to be way better off with Sage. And Sasquatch, for most people, is a card that's really great with Mysterio Mockingbird packages.
Yep. Hard agree. Mysterio Hit Monkey makes it a 2/10.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. It's insane.
It's just nutty.
And if you got a couple of beast things.
Yeah.
So yeah, your goal is to play 2 demons and Sasquatch on the last turn of the game. You're adding 22 power to your stupid Hit Monkey Mysterio bullshit.
Right.
That's ridiculous value if you can do it properly.
Yeah, and that's a large amount of power that you can spread into locations that your opponent is like, okay, I don't know what's going where.
Yep.
And I lose.
But 1 Professor X or Storm changes your whole game plan.
Of course.
1 Mobius changes your whole game plan. And 1 bad location changes your whole game plan.
Yeah, locations.
So, I guess I'm the resident hater of this card. Because nothing Glazer has said here has convinced me that this card is worth 6k tokens.
Oh, I didn't say it was.
Or like worth spending Spotlight caches on, unless you want Havoc. And what's the other one? I have both of the cards. Havoc and
Ravonna. Ravonna is very important. If you need Ravonna, open.
Love Ravonna. Best tokens. I bought her with tokens. It was great use of tokens. I think like unless your deck already wants to be doing like Sasquatch asks a lot of you for a fundamentally mid-range card. Like the other 2 ones that come to mind, and 3, I guess, to include Mockingbird, like don't really ask that much of you. Call Obsidian just asks you to have a 1-drop, which has been shown that you can do with very few 1-drops. Crossbones, now that he's gotten that buff, really just asks you to sort of like lock down a lane with his, finish off a lane with his ability. Pretty low entry point. And then Mockingbird is shown to be very flexible and kind of boringly so. But Sasquatch here, like, is asking a lot of you to make this card kind of like worth the juice here, to be worth the squeeze. I mean, and the fact that players like Glazer and others like struggle with it in a deck that already does the things that it wants to do, which is bounce, which wants to play a bunch of cards in a single explosive turn. It says to me like that this card is kind of overrated. I have not bought it with tokens, so I haven't played the card. I played a little bit against it this week, and it beat me a couple of times. I beat it a couple of times. It never felt like it was a definitive thing in any of the games that I played. And then like watching people stream with this, I was not impressed with this card. I think it's probably the least interesting card this month.
It's definitely least interesting.
And
the other cards are all super interesting.
I think it's the most.
They've all been fun too. Like all the other cards have been great fun.
Mm-hmm.
To me, this is a hard skip unless you are a bounce aficionado who wants to make sure you have in your collection every single card. Yes, I know, Aaron. Every single card possible. That like if this was a physical card game, you have your little bounce box and you pull cards out, you know, when you like want to change your thing. So unless you're one of those people, and if you are one of our loyal listeners or loyal viewers who is, definitely I think it's worth the tokens. But if you're just a generic Snap player, I think your tokens and spotlight caches can be saved for future weeks or by Pixie or whatever that you have.
Nocturne.
Nocturne.
Yeah,
there you go.
Nocturne.
Nocturne is so. People keep being
Nocturne's
like,
amazing.
someone in my comments was like, Nocturne is bad. I was like, I
Nope.
just no.
Not
Like
sure how.
Nocturne's, yeah. But look, I thought Nocturne wasn't going to be as good as it was. I was like, I already have Jeff. I don't need Jeff at home. Yeah, I do. I want more
Yeah.
Jeff. All the Jeff. Let's have some. Like, give me a 4-cost Jeff too, please. All right. In the meantime, though, so I think if you bought Mockingbird and you own Mysterio, you should probably just get Sasquatch. There are 3 card packages that you can just sort of slam into decks. If you own Pixie as well, and those 2 cards, it's a really good combo. Sasquatch with Pixie and Mockingbird is kind of hilarious because if they come out at all cheaper, they're basically free.
I am going to agree with that in the guise that in the world of small packages in Marvel Snap, right? So a 3-card package is a thing that's like, okay, so like you're playing a Nihilist Sentry Hood, right? That's a 3-card package that's been proven to be very good in Snap. Sasquatch, I think, fits into a 3-card package that is now Sasquatch, Mysterio, Mockingbird. And that sounds very good. In my brain, at least.
It is. It's like there's not even a question. Unless your opponent's running Mobius, you're playing for 2 mana, you're playing a 4, then for 3 mana. Energy, that's the game we're playing now. For 2 energy, a 4, for 3 energy, a 10, for 2 energy, a 9. And that's like not the numbers that they're supposed to do. So that's pretty good. Also, if you own Scar, that tends to work real well with Scar.
It's true.
Great. I think that's enough about this alternate universe Canadian. All right, let's talk about leagues. All
Yay.
right. This is from, I believe, the official Marvel Snap Discord, correct?
Yeah, this is their new PR person. Does anyone remember the PR person's name?
Ooh. Not off the top of my head.
All right.
Forgot already.
I will go find it while Roy reads.
What did they say? So they said, recently, we have conducted a test on a new feature called Leagues. This limited time event matches players into groups of 30, competing on a short-term leaderboard for prizes. We want to update you on our future plans for this feature, the insights we gained from the test, and the reasons behind the test design. First of all, thank you for all your feedback about Leagues. Oh man, classic email writing, by the way, there. First of all, especially our players in Ireland who played the test event. We're making some core changes to the feature before it's released to the rest of the world. The upcoming version of Leagues will no longer include purchase boosts. Instead, when a league begins, you'll have the option to join a standard league for free or buy into a premium league, which offers more rewards. Oh, much more normal Marvel Snap monetization. Leagues will still focus on smaller groups of 30 players, earning or losing points based on wins and cubes over a 48-hour or 72-hour period. The most prominent feedback we received was that the feature was pay to win. All right, we weren't surprised by this reaction. Part of the feature testing is validating the assumptions and understanding the difference between what people say and what they do, or what we think and what we know. Sometimes this involves testing a negative hypothesis, like this one, to verify it, gauge the impact, and settle internal debates. Leagues are part of our broader goal this year to ensure Marvel Snap is filled with exciting events and special occasions beyond our normal seasons. We aim to offer different ways to play and various rewards for playing. Your feedback is crucial in shaping these features, and we couldn't do it without your continued support. Gregor, what do you think of this PR speak?
Well, I'm really happy that they offer a free version and that they did decide to make it so it's not only monetized. I still think this will reward the person who's able to spend the most amount of time doing it. So if somebody is working, has a job, and is also trying to compete in this league, I think they're not going to have as good a chance as somebody who's able to play all day long.
But wait, that shouldn't happen. They're going to put you in the league with people who specifically have your play patterns.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
I figured it was just like MMR based, not.
No, they said it's people as close to you in both playtime and rank as they can get it.
Oh, interesting.
Or at least that's what
Okay.
they did for the the test. They might change that, right? They might be like, yeah, that was too much trouble. But like that was their original plan.
Yeah, so my fear would be that it's like in Pokemon Go, where like a person could just stay at a spot, and the person who stays there the longest just wins because they're there. But if it's based off of similar play patterns, that sounds cool. I'm really happy that they were able to take the feedback that they got from this test and probably take it up to higher ups who do want to make more money off of it and give us this version. So I'm happy with this.
Yes, I'm pretty much all 100% agree with that, because when this whatever you want to call it, mode or whatever feature in the game was first talked about and released, and they were like, oh, we're going to test this, everybody who had a voice screamed from the rooftops, this is just pay to win. This is QBrush, whatever, etc. It's pay to win. Literally, that's what we're getting. And everybody said that every time anybody posted anything about leagues, they're like, yeah, but it's just pay to win. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. So I'm glad that they took all of that, like Gregor said, and actually dialed back and went, yeah, actually, you know what? Let's take that part out, because nobody wants that. You're right. Nobody wants that at all. In my personal opinion, does this solve there aren't enough modes in Marvel Snap? No, it doesn't. However, it's something. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, but something, we don't have to necessarily settle for just something. And I get that for sure. Because I want more. I want draft. I want whatever. I want 2v2. I want more things in the game that's like an actual mode. Like Conquest is fine, but Conquest is a drag for most people, myself included, and a lot of people I've spoken to. Conquest is just like, I don't have time for that. I do enough to get the variant and the resources and the mystery variant and the other stuff, and you're like, okay, kind of just done with Conquest. It's not really grinding this out. But again, this is, I suppose, a step in the proper direction. So yes.
1, the gentleman's name is Griffin. Hi, Griffin. 2, Griffin has said he'd be on the podcast too, so I should really learn that name. 3, better is better than worse. If they actually pair us based on historical how much we play, I'm gonna win my league, because it's about to be summer and I'm a teacher and I'm real excited. I'm gonna roll some fools. I'm gonna be like, tripled your points instead of my usual 40 minutes a day. Let's fucking go. I don't know. I think this is cool. I think this is I actually really like this. If they implement it this way and there's nothing hidden here, and it's secondary, so there could be something stupid hidden, right? We've seen, or if it works for the first 3 weeks, come on, we've been here before, right? But as long as nothing goes terribly wrong, this seems like a pure positive. I, for the first time ever, grinded a little bit of ladder this season, and I don't want to do that every season. Leagues give me a thing to do instead.
Fair.
Or a thing to do that makes me grind ladder, but not have to be outside of my comfort zone to do so. And I don't want to be outside of my comfort zone. Life does that. This is a game. I want to have fun.
Correct.
All right. That seems to be that. Let us move along to Hi 10. This is not 10 questions. It's 14 questions. We're going to start with the Snap announcement and wild speculation. And then we're going to do some Snap questions, some work life questions, and then end with a couple just for fun questions. We all ready?
Yep.
I was born ready.
Ooh, you're Ron Artest. Oh, no, that's not Ron Artest. Rafer Alston. No one knows what the fuck I'm talking about.
Skip to Malu.
Oh, thank you, God.
Come on, let's go.
All right. So there's a random IGN Live Snap announcement. Hey,
when is IGN Live?
When June 6th and 7th. So
Oh wow, this soon. Okay.
Yeah. I want to speculate wildly. What the fuck's this going to be?
Draft mode.
Ugh, I would be over the moon if that was the case, but I seriously doubt it.
It's like 1% chance. But if
I
they
think
do
it's way
it, I'm
higher
losing.
than 1% chance.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think it's like locked, but I think it's like 30% chance.
Take 30.
Ooh.
I'll take a 30%. Yeah. I would be very happy with a draft mode. Or just a new mode in general would make me very happy.
Agreed.
It's either a new mode or some. I mean, they spent the money to be on like a featured thing on IGN Live. So you don't do that if it's not like big.
Good. Yeah.
Hey,
Right.
we have more
Whoa, whoa,
information
doesn't
about
have to-
guilds.
It doesn't have to be
Well,
good.
so-
whoa, Glazer. It's just big. Like, come on.
So what scares me is like it says this Marvel Snap update, and it could just be like, we're doing a partnership with the Deadpool 3 movie.
Oh, I mean, they
Oh
are.
yeah,
But they already are.
Like right, but like that's data mine.
But
That's not
Ugh.
announced.
it's going to come out when Deadpool 3 comes out. There's only one
That's-
Marvel movie coming out this year.
Yeah.
It's coming out in July, right? So like that's fine. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's all that this promises, right? It could be as little as that.
My fear is that it's going to be something that they've already put on the roadmap.
Yeah.
And they're just giving us more details.
Yeah, like something like guilds.
here's a they're not giving us a friend list, and it still breaks my brain that
Oh,
I don't have a
right?
friend list in the game. Like, I don't get it. I ask about it all the time. And
You know,
like,
To be fair, it's one of those things that seems like it takes a while for no reason because it took Magic Arena forever to have a friends list.
It
So,
did, yes.
Guess it just takes a while.
I mean, it would just be cool to be able to see if another friend is online and ping them and be like, hey, you want to do a quick game?
Yeah.
Like, that would be awesome.
I think you guys are right. I think that there's like a 40% chance that Hugh Jackman and or Ryan Reynolds will be on the stage with them. 2, because it's Wolverine and Deadpool, it's going to be social features. Like, that's what it's going to be. Like, they're going to like be like Wolverine and Deadpool are teaming up. You can team up. You got Ben Brode up there with Hugh Jackman, like, saying some nonsense.
I mean, it doesn't have to be Deadpool and Wolverine because this is the start of June and that's not till July.
Yeah.
It could, like,
Glazer, come on, man.
yeah,
Come on.
yeah. It could be corporate synergy nonsense. It could also be oh god, there goes that thought. I had a thought. I don't know where it went. I thought, wave at me. It could. I don't know what. Yeah, it's just gone. Fucking gone. That was awesome. All right, whatever. My bad. Continue. Yeah. Sorry.
It
Someone move on.
It happens. It probably of all the things it could be, like I said, even though they just put out information about leagues, hell, could just be that too.
Yeah,
It's not going to be
Like,
legal. This is
put it
way
past
too
them.
small scale for this.
That's fair, I suppose.
It would be such a letdown. Like,
It would be a letdown indeed.
like they're
I mean-
generating hype around this. So I would hope it's something big.
it needs to be a game mode. They need to be like, oh, you know what else it could be? It could be like a like catch up or new player mechanic that like gets you into the game. Do you want to be competitive in Marvel Snap's competitive card battle or not have to play for months? That's
Yeah.
what I was trying to say, and my brain turned off in the middle of the thought. I don't know why. But like, what if it's just like, if you join in the next 3 weeks, we're gonna give you,
No,
and then you can play Marvel Snap at the competitive level. Aren't you excited?
it could be a
Aren't they
subscription
doing that
service.
already with
Ooh.
like the drops that are coming? Those give new players access to more things.
Like it is hot.
Yeah.
It's probably currently not enough though, right? Because as the game continues, as there's more and more cards added to the game frequently now, one a week or 2 a week, that first, the beginning of the season, a new player now, if I was starting this game now, I would look at this and go, where am I supposed to catch
Some
up
of those
here?
are my $10 Patreons. Shh.
But I mean,
But
No,
to be
you're right.
fair, and as I always tell people, you just make sure you're buying the season pass if you have the 10 to spend, because
Yeah.
it literally gives you everything you need in a vacuum over the course of a space of time that once 6 or so months go by, you're going to go, oh, I have pretty much most of the core things I need to have a lot of extended fun in this game. And I know 6 months seems daunting, but it's really not in the landscape of playing a game over the course of a long time.
I think revamping the new player experience and launching big social features at the same time. I think the social features like guilds are actually substantial. Plus new players, so they can say, "Hey, everyone's gonna be talking about Marvel again this summer. You play Marvel Snap. Now it's easier to get your buddy to play Marvel Snap, and you can be in a guild together. So you can be just like Wolverine and Deadpool. You can be in a guild. Like, I think that it's going to be one part something substantial for Marvel Snap and one part cross synergy promotion. Like, I think we cannot escape the marketing machine that is Marvel trying to rehabilitate its reputation. After the beating that it's taken.
Guilds.
It has taken a beating, though, right? Like, this was like the hottest, most popular thing, and everyone was like, this knife isn't sharp enough. Let's sharpen it, then stab it into secondary. I mean, us included, right? Like, I'm not saying Snap Judgment is above this, but like, man, they have made some not so positive choices over the year.
Exclusive partner tells me they spent money, and it's going to be big.
They had to.
Yeah.
Probably worth moving on here.
Probably big. Yeah, sure. Just moving on.
No, I wasn't. I was just.
No, moving on, Roy. Sorry.
All right. So, all right.
Jeez, Roy.
Oh my God.
Now who's got Emperor Roy?
Oh, yes. Oh, definitely. I'm the Emperor of Snap Judgments. There we go. Yeah, that's how this works.
He's a little finger.
Oh, that's
we're doing Thrones reference tonight.
So, was the Leech meta? Oh my God. The Leech meta better than this one? Flash, what do you think?
That's a good question. That depends on what you define as what our current meta actually is. Because I'm not sure I know what it is, because it's now fluctuating quickly, right? Because Leech was there before Leech went to 4, it was Hela. And you saw Hela a lot. And, well, a lot of people did. But then Leech went down to 4, and then things changed a little bit, and now Leech back to 5. I'm not sure what meta we're in even, because when I scroll through the decks, they all look different in a way where, okay, this deck might win here, this deck might win here, Blink is good over here, you could do bounce over here, there's the Angela Kitty stuff you could do over here, there's Loki's back on the rise again. Loki's back. Loki generally doesn't go anywhere, to be fair. Let me preface that. It just kind of hangs out in the sideline a little bit, and then it's like, oh, Loki's back. You can play most things right now, and I think that's overall better for the game. I'm trying to, I don't know what stands out to me. I'm like, oh, this is problem. I mean, I hate Hela, so to me, it's always problematic that you can just play 3 cards and dump 70 power on the last turn of the game, but whatever, to each his own. I will say this: whatever we're currently in, it's better than Leech, because Leech is the worst. Because Leech cards like Leech, like Sandman, they gain in popularity and play rate when there's a problem somewhere. Generally speaking, because they combat very specific things that are like, no, you can't do that. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm sorry. So I think currently whatever we're in right now is better than just, oh, Leech, great, into Blink, great, into whatever. Okay, I just lose. So.
My turn?
Yeah.
So for me, no. I didn't enjoy the Leech meta. I enjoy using on reveals on turn 5 and 6 personally, and having my hand lose all on reveal effects and having no way to defend against it. Super Giant wasn't even an option. I couldn't even play Super Giant against the Leech at 4. That sucked. I definitely utilized Leech during that time as a 4 cost because Leech and a Blink had ridiculous value, but I don't think it was good for the meta overall. I think having Leech at a 5 cost is better. You can do, and as far as Hela goes, on ladder, if you're playing a discard deck and I see you hit 2 big cards with your discards, enjoy your single cube, because that's all you're going to get. I'm leaving. I'm not staying. I assume that you have Hela, and I'll go on to my next game. It sucks more in Conquest than anything else if they get good RNG because you can't really do anything. But on Ladder, I don't really find Hela to be super, just absolutely dominating me.
Or even better, that turn 1, and then you see Black Cat get discarded, and you're like, well.
Yep. Or like I'm keeping track of what they discard. They hit Magneto, they hit Infinite, and I'm just like, why would I stay?
Yep.
Because you're playing Bounce and you just go right over the top. My opponent played Bounce against me in the league. I was like, oh, this is going to be so annoying. I was like, oh, never mind. I just dropped 30 in each lane. We're good. Okay. I think the Leech meta was better. I think the Leech meta was significantly more skill testing. You could no longer just rely on doing big broken shit. You had to plan. If you were still just playing decks that were running 5 and 6 cost on reveals and not snapping and retreating intelligently, you were losing games, right? But like, you didn't have to do that. There was no requirement to do that. There were a million decks that didn't do that came out that were never meta decks before, and I think it was really, really interesting. I was perfectly fine able to play Bounce because Bounce straight up could compete with the Leech decks because you're just playing like a bunch of demons don't give a shit, right? Like a bunch of demons, and then if I've got an Elsa down, an Angela, and a Bishop, don't care. Like, I'm not going to be able to monkey Sage with those late decks because they were Leech decks. They weren't putting out a crazy amount of power. They were putting out like mid-range levels of power, so you can compete on that axis. You can just play the mid-range different variations of that stuff. You could play some powerful like there was just a lot of really different stuff happening, and I think that the game has become sort of like, I'm going to either junk you up or a big stupid combo is going to happen. Like, those are the only two things that happen in Marvel Snap right now. I'm going to junk you up. Like, I'm going to either through Annihilus, either through Debris, either through Professor X, whatever. I'm going to junk you up. And if like that junk doesn't happen, it's whoever's got the bigger, stupider combo. And that doesn't feel very skillful to me. Like, sometimes you're just like here's a Surfer combo. Here's a I think the game is healthiest when it's in a sort of mid-range package-based state, and I don't think that's where we are now, but I think the Leech meta sort of put us there, even if it's unfortunate that it took so many interesting decks out of players' hands to do so. But like, a lot of it is they push design, and one of the big ways they pushed design was giving us gigantic, stupid on reveals, and getting rid of that was good. We lost Gregor.
Well, I mean, you definitely broke the seamlessness that we can just sort of see what's going on with Gregor and not have called attention to it, Aaron. But yes, he is currently off our call, but we'll hopefully be back.
He'll be back
shortly. When I was playing Blink Leech, the Leech meta was awesome. I really enjoyed it. It was great. I really enjoyed leeching people and then blinking Leech away. It was a lot of fun. And then when I was playing Silver Surfer, and I had Silver Surfer in my opening hand, and it got leeched, I did not enjoy the Leech meta. That is my
Searcher. Shouldn't do that. Don't play that deck.
that is my feedback of the Leech meta. It did feel like you were doing something broken when you were blink leeching people, which is bleaching people, I guess. Yeah, that was bleaching people. But like, I didn't find it to be that obnoxious.
So I found the higher I climbed, the less I actually ended up playing the damn Leech, because good players just stopped playing things that were Leech. And like, if I had to Leech, I was like, this is so bad for my tempo, because I know this is going to hit like one small thing. Jubilee was significantly better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is also why, and one thing I did enjoy about that time, I will say, is it brought back ongoing in a way where it made it viable to play the ongoing deck you were playing a year ago, plus, the better things that have been released since then, along with it. Like, being able to play Spectrum and have it be viable and good was quite nice, I will say. And that deck forced the Leech players to go, oh, well, I can't beat that. No, you cannot.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
I thought it was healthier. Let's go.
Question 2. We'll start with our returning friend Gregor, since Glazer called attention to something that could have been seamless in your listening and viewing experience.
I like seams,
but was not. How would you balance Thanos? We know a rework is coming for the stones.
So I have a few different ideas. I have notes here. So
Good.
either
You're officially the most prepared guest ever, just for the record.
I always keep one notes for these things. Like I look ahead of time. I come prepped.
Aw.
So I think they could do something with the Death Stone. I think that could be really interesting.
Bingo.
I think that could be a cool addition. But if they decided to move away from stones, they could also do the Infinity Gauntlet. If they don't want to make him token based, it does seem like they are focused on making him a token based character, which I'm okay with. I just think there are other things they could do with the character overall. So I'm not sure what you would do with the Death Stone. We already have an affliction based ability. We have a move based ability. We have a reality based ability, and stuff that pulls into your hands. I want Thanos to be able to kind of stand on his own. I don't want him. I feel like him as a character is tied directly to the stones, right? I would like for Thanos to be able to be his own thing outside of the stones, potentially. You know, like
A 4/6? Sorry,
Oof.
his own thing. Get it?
oh.
Sorry, dad joke. Continue.
The thing I don't like about the rework is that if they have Spider-Ham, if your opponent has Spider-Ham, they always hit Thanos consistently. And that doesn't make him feel like a big bad if a Spider-Ham can always take him out, you know? I mean, it is kind of funny meta, like, oh, he has Toon Power, so he can take down Thanos. But, yeah, I want him to feel like his own thing.
Those are great points, and I'm glad you brought up the Death Stone because I had a tweet what seems like a few months ago, when that was announced, that the Death Stone was officially canon. We don't know what it is or what it does yet because he hasn't figured out how to use it. That has not entered into the lore yet. But it does somehow include death because he trapped Death herself into said stone. So, unfortunately, in my brain, including the Death Stone means possibly reworking Death somehow. But I don't like that as a Destroy player. So I have to. But I do think adding the Death Stone you almost in a way have to because it is now canon. So if you have Thanos remain as the stones are part of his package, in my opinion.
Wait. Oh, come on. If they make a Death Stone, it is a Series 5 card that they will sell to us. There is almost no goddamn way that they're giving us a free Death Stone.
Nah, I mean,
also,
include it in his
most
package.
people do not know what the Death Stone is. They know it's the movie.
I mean, I know what it is from this.
No, not yet, because it's canon, but it's not. It's still in the early workings of what it does. It's this new arc in Marvel where he's gonna now figure out how to use it, etc., etc. And I hate that Aaron makes a good point about them. Well, we're not gonna give you this for free. God,
I don't want to have to buy the individual stones to use Thanos. That
You're not. Might have to buy one individual.
Oh God. Well,
we could have made you buy 6, but we made you buy 1.
Now I also
And Call of
Gregor, yeah, jeez.
And
Gregor makes a great point about having the gauntlet be a thing in a complete rework, which would be interesting. But my brain immediately goes to equipment in Magic, where I'm like, okay, how does that work? And that would be clunky because now second editor has made it very clear that they're not trying to add those types of things into the game. Even when they add new wording, everyone's like, oh, what's this new word means? This new keyword? They're like, no, that's just flavor wording. They're like, oh, okay. They're not. I don't think they want to do that. Now, could the gauntlet? It would have to exist as its own card with Thanos somehow, and just replace all the stones. I don't know what that would look like, but I personally, and I was just playing some Thanos earlier with Mockingbird and Sasquatch, etc. My brain doesn't tell me Like, I don't know how much of a rework. Now, granted, yes, we know the stones or some of them or all of them are getting a rework in some fashion. I don't know what that looks like or how necessary it is in a certain context, because Thanos is very playable, especially in the right hands. It I've been every time I queue up a new Zemo deck, I immediately get matched up with Thanos. But that's a different conversation. But it's good into so many things still, because it allows you, the stones are tech. It allows you to play tech with whether you put in more, Mobius and Shang, and then you put big cards to go with it, and then you have Mockingbird now. Sasquatch goes well in it, by the way, because if you play a couple of stones, 3 stones on a turn, Sasquatch is 3. So I think Thanos is fine in a way. Sure, some of the stones could probably use a tweak again here and there, but I don't think anything drastic.
I agree. I think Thanos is still, like, my biggest complaint is that Spider Ham thing.
Fair.
Yeah.
Agreed. Hard agree, actually.
I think they're going to
Kang should
lean.
be getting reworked.
Well, Kang should be getting reworked. I think Thanos is going to be about the stones. Thanos is like one of their key characters, though, right? Like, no one fucking cares about Kang. I'm still convinced Kang is a big bad because people started getting excited at the idea that Kang would be a big bad. But I think that they're going to lean further into the stones being about Thanos. I think they're all going to do something like Power Stone to Thanos. I don't know what that is, but I think they're all going to do something like, you're going to play Thanos and like a billion cool effects are going to happen based on
like
stones
Exodia.
Yes, yes, exactly. It's going to be Exodia Thanos, I would bet, which makes way more sense for considering what the stones do for Thanos, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know what that looks like, but that's what my guess is.
I'm in full agreement with Evan. Which brings us to, what would it take to bring High Evo back? Flash, what do you think?
As somebody who played a lot of High Evo when it came out, and some of which was very broken because Hulk being able to grow in deck was wild. I'm not sure. I like High Evo. I'm one of the people that's like, yeah, High Evo's great still in a certain play pattern. One of the cooks that I had when Sasquatch was getting ready to come out, I ended up just putting it in a High Evo build. High Evo with A-Bomb and Hit Monkey Mysterio, because nobody sees that coming. You could go Hit Monkey Mysterio Wasp on turn 5, and now all of a sudden Sasquatch costs 1, and then you could do A-Bomb, and if you have Cyclops on the board, you're talking about a large swing of power on turn 6. But of course, Mobius crushes High Evo, and so does Luke Cage. So like,
can I add
those
Red Hulk to that?
Right, and Red Hulk. So those 3 cards shut the entire archetype down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the problem is. That decks that do what High Evo does need hard counters to exist. It's like Destroy.
I think you just convinced. I think I just figured it out based on what you said. What if playing High Evo himself turned off the counters?
Now we have a use for the actual card. It's supposed to just be a dead card in your hand, because before you're just playing with an 11 card deck. First of all,
the idea was not in a good way, right? A 13, almost, whatever.
Right, not in a good way, right?
But like, make High Evo have to be played, because what the point of the card was originally was that you would play High Evo because all these effects were OP, but the game has power crept to where literally none of the effects are OP.
None.
So now you play Evo and Affliction cannot be prevented, and your cost can still be reduced.
I love that. Jesus Christ, that would be
I didn't think of it until literally you were talking about it.
Oh my god.
Wouldn't that be cool? Like, I think that actually it makes it good and balanced.
Yes, it does.
So you have to play it and it stops. It would stop like Luke Cage from working.
Luke Cage and Mobius. It'd have to be an ongoing. It has to be an ongoing because you should be able to counter it, right?
Yes.
But
I mean, there are cards that can already shut down those cards. Like, for example, Red Guardian.
But then you need them both separately. Right? And you have to play them with that dead card High Evo in a deck that's already running a bunch of High Evo cards. Like, you have to run High Evo anyway, so why not make it so you actually also have to play him so that you can protect your this?
to get that protection, because otherwise, because like I said, currently it's just not unlike Thanos, which playing Thanos plus other things, gives you a benefit to playing Thanos. He can be a 620 if you play your cards right, and never generally what you want to be doing, but it can happen. High Evo, there is no if you have a game where you've had to play High Evo to the board, you've done something wrong, and you're probably not going to win that game. As somebody who's played a lot of High Evo, I can tell you, playing High Evo to the board is like, man, I'm not hitting my draws. This is bad.
Yeah, it's like I didn't even get Cyclops. I'd rather just not play it and have Cyclops go off, right? You're like, oh god.
What if High Evo stopped all ongoing on both sides?
Jesus.
That's super.
That's busted.
Busted. None.
Like that's
God.
too good. Like now I'm just playing High Evo decks and no other High Evo cards because I want that ability. It seems like it's not ideal.
I think there's two things here. One, to go back to Gregor's point, unprint Red Hulk. I think that High Evo could survive Luke Cage and can survive Mobius. Particularly now that Mobius is more of a like real tech card that it's not like omnipresent. But like a generically useful card that punishes literally the entire point of your deck. Like if you're playing High Evo and Red Hulk goes off on like turn 2, you're like, I'm screwed. I'm just getting screwed. Like, what
screwed.
Like,
also, rebuff Hulk. Holy shit!
yeah.
With Red Hulk in the meta, can we fix
like
Hulk?
I mean, Hulk might be the one you don't, but like Wasp,
No, I think it's the one you do.
Thing, like you like revert the changes, because I think fundamentally High Evo was designed for when the game was more mid-range. But now that there's so many big combos, and not even like combos in the like Living Tribunal sense, just like big plays, I guess might be the better thing. Like the small ball stuff that High Evo does is way shittier. And so I think
it is now. Yeah.
Restoring it to its former glory, I think brings it closer to what those decks can do.
Yes, and it didn't even take long, because it wasn't but a couple of months ago that people were still telling me, "Oh, Cyclops is too strong. We got to do something about Cyclops." I'm like, I'm gonna tell you what, the way things are happening in this game, if you kneecap Cyclops, this deck is entirely dead. I'm just letting you know right now. Like but I like Red Hulk is a great example, Roy, because Red Hulk coming out was like, oh, so we can't play High Evo anymore. All right, that's great, because Red Hulk immediately becomes better than Hulk. So you're like, all right, well that sucks. The whole point of this deck is to float energy. All right.
Like one thing I do like about High Evo just in general is that newer players, when they get access to it, they have a road to infinite. I don't think Red Hulk is as big a problem when you're still early on, because Series 5, not everybody's going to have a Series 5 Red Hulk when you're doing that.
So the problem is you don't play people of similar collection level once you're in Series 3.
Yep.
You play people of similar MMR, which could be, like, and your MMR is often fairly inflated at that point because you've been beating up on bots and, like, bullshit. So, yeah, you're going to play a lot of Red Hulk.
Okay.
Right.
Like,
you start running into top content creators, and you're like, this doesn't feel good anymore.
Dan,
like, no. Yeah, it's like, oh, shit. Great. Have fun. Yeah. All right. Next one.
All right. Favorite and least favorite card packages. Gregor.
Okay. I feel like Flash is going to be angry at me for this one.
Jesus Christ.
Favorite package. I love combo decks, first of all. So give me a good surfer. I like tribunal lists. Anything where I can do big, like maybe I need to turn 7, maybe I don't. I like those kind of stuff. I enjoy Destroy, but I find Destroy to be the most boring.
Oh, no.
I think Destroy is the most balanced package in the game, in terms of the fact that it's consistently good. Like, no matter the meta, I just find the idea of destroying, getting bigger, it's just not my thing.
Let me say this. Destroy has been having a rough time over the past few weeks. So while it is generally consistently good at like the beginning of a season, right? When people don't know what's going on, things are changing. The past couple of weeks, Destroy has had a rough time surviving a lot of things because people are playing good tech cards. People are playing like things that sometimes just go bigger at times.
Red Hulk.
Yeah, like it's and Destroy goes big, but a lot of things right now are going bigger, and I'm like, I'm not winning as many games with Destroy as I used to be. That doesn't feel good at all. But for me, that's my clear cut favorite. Like if we're talking packages or deck archetypes, whatever you want to call it, I'm a big Destroy guy. Destroy and discard, and not Hela specifically. Like I'm a dedicated Dracula discard player. Like I love it. I've loved it for a long time. I think that package has remained so viable through a lot of things. It's staggering, right? It would blow most people's mind. Now a lot of people don't like discard, but it's remained more playable than Destroy at times because it has a level of consistency that Destroy struggles with at times. Because sometimes if you don't hit a card or two in Destroy and you're like, okay, what are we doing? It's turn 4 and you're like, I'm cooked. I'm out of here. Discard has a lot of outs. Even if your things go and they aren't going your way, you're like, oh, well, I got a MODOK and then I have this and I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're back in business. My least favorite thing in the game, period, is Hela. Just if you want to call that a package, I don't know if that's a package. It's I don't like the archetype. It's my least whenever I see it. If you want to talk about things that don't require any playing of the Hela decks are the Hela decks are just playing the all-in ones. They're just kind of, and I'm not talking about the Hela Tribunal or the Hela hide everything behind Invisible Woman or the Hela Black Knight. I'm talking about the Hela that's playing 3 cards. It's playing Corvus Glaive, one other thing, Hela, and it just gets to put down 60 power. And I'm like, yes, is there a casino element to it? Of course there is. Is there RNG? Of course there is. But you shouldn't get to just that example, and Aaron can attest to this being a bounce player. You have to jump through a lot of hoops to put down and have a lot of setup to put down large quantity of power on the board. Hela goes, I can play 3 cards and do that. And I hate that. I hate every bit of that. I'm sorry. I just do.
Well, Black Cat discards herself, so you just like that.
Sorry.
It's literally sorry, not sorry. I hate everybody that comes to my stream. Like, I hate Hela. I hate it. I hate it so much.
They get their 1 cube from me. That's it.
I really don't like Hela, but I don't think it's my least favorite. I don't like those Dr. Octopus Magic Professor X Cannonball decks. I think that they're terrible. It's a toss-up between that and, like, I'm really over the Annihilus package. Like, really over. I think basically since it came out, the Annihilus package has been the best package in the game. And, like, it's dangerous now because of Professor X and Cannonball being everywhere. But, like, I'm happy it's going down, but, like, they're going to nerf Professor X soon. Just mentally prepare yourself.
I hope
next
so.
question. Oh, I mean, they're going to. They hate that kind of lockdown. They, like, consistently. Every time that it's been good, it's eaten a nerf, right? Like, yeah. They clearly, like, don't want it to be good. But an ability that takes a game that has 3 lanes and says it only has 2 lanes is always going to be useful. So it's going to keep finding its way back into that. But, the second it goes away, Annihilus becomes the best package again. I'm so over it. Like, it's not even, like, that hard to play around, but it's just
easy to read.
Yeah, but you just have to play the entire game differently. Like, yes. So sometimes I don't mind playing my deck to my opponent, but sometimes I also want to play my deck, and you don't get to play your deck against that deck, and it's very boring to me. And my favorite archetype is is always going to be Darkhawk. I think Darkhawk is delightful. I don't care when Darkhawk is played against me. I like it. I like playing Darkhawk. I'm for it.
Darkhawk is one of my favorite 5-cost cards in the game, easily top 3.
Yeah.
Annihilus for life.
Pro? You're an Annihilus Pro?
I'm an Annihilus Pro. Annihilus for life. Haters and losers that
I'm
don't
probably
like
also one of the
Annihilus.
few Ronin fans, so
I like Ronan too.
I've been
Yeah,
on the
Ronin's
had
a
so much
very
fun
cool
with him.
card.
I like Ronin Idiot decks. I love Idiot decks. Idiot decks are so fun.
I also like really enjoy well, it's not really a package anymore, but like I really loved the Zabu Ravona cost reduction package when it existed. I think building decks around it was actually really fun and really interesting, and like seeing like how far you can stretch the Marvel Snap economy. So I'm hoping at some point we get a little bit more of that. Maybe not as
Are you
busted.
talking like with Zabu, Ravona, and like Sarah?
Sarah, it could be Sarah, it could be just Zabu Ravona decks, right? Like some of them are focused on 4-cost cards, like looking for that redundancy of like what can you get with these two powerful cost reduction effects, right? So like a lot of them were
negative decks.
Negative decks. A lot of them were Living Tribunal decks, but it was also just like a package that you just saw in decks. It's like it was powerful enough that you just kind of saw in some mid-range decks that like were running Professor X, plus some interesting 4-costs, right? Like, anyway, I like that was what I said. Like least favorite, I don't know. I actually kind of am like the Darkhawk is one of my least favorite, not because it's annoying, but just because it's been around forever and like it's not interesting to me. Like it's like, oh yeah, all right, so somebody just did Korg. Oh, hey, there's Rock Slide. All right, well, gonna do Darkhawk again since January 2023. I've been doing this. Rocks have been in my deck,
and it ain't going anywhere.
It ain't going anywhere.
Once Arsham hits the game,
Mm-hmm.
be prepared for more Dark Hawk.
More Darkhawk.
You better have Blob in there and Grandmaster, both of them.
But all right. So, Gregor, how do you feel about Cannonball and Professor X being everywhere? We can take this one pretty quickly since we talked about it.
Yeah, we sort of already
earlier.
covered this.
Yeah. Fine with Cannonball. I don't like the Professor X element that it just automatically gives him that rock if they have another lane filled. It seems too easy to get that, especially with Ravona. You have Ravona and they get Professor X on 4. What are you going to do? Like if you go tall in a certain lane and they do Doc Ock in the other lane so it fills up and they have Cannonball, there's nothing you can do to avoid that. So it does feel pretty oppressive.
Agreed. It is oppressive. That's I know the homie Black Dom is not going to want to hear this because Professor X is like his favorite card. But
so does Galactus.
Now he's the conversations me and him have had. He's a big Professor X guy. If you notice, Professor X ends up in a lot of his decks more so than Galactus does. Cannonball's great, right? And I think it fits in a lot of good places. It's just unfortunate that currently it's being paired so much with Professor X and starting to feel oppressive. And Professor X's biggest problem when they quote unquote nerfed the card was taking it down to 1, which I thought was an interesting bad choice because you're like, well, everybody's just gonna play it with Ravona.
Yep.
Seemed like a poor decision. Like I feel like 2 should have been the first stop on the nerf train for Professor X, not 1. 1 made it feel like a buff, but that's neither here nor there. Hopefully something changes in a way that makes it feel less oppressive but still playable and a usable card in Marvel Snap.
Yeah, just make Professor X a 5/2 and a lot of the problem goes away.
Yeah.
Like you can't you can still play it on 5 with Cannonball, but now I have the extra turn. I don't have to be like, Ravona, what the
right.
My life.
Or
right?
like Black Dama was doing, Professor X on 4, Mystique on 5. Like
Yep.
Yeah, make me have to run Psylocke again.
There you go.
So yeah, I'm with it.
Glazer says, make Psylocke great again. All right, moving on to our next set of questions. All right, Flash. Unless you're going for top 1K, is it just better to get Infinite than play Conquest? Then play Conquest.
That's a loaded question, only because if you're not going for top 1K, right? Because again, the game doesn't have this laundry list of modes. So if you're not grinding on ladder after you hit Infinite, the only thing left for you to do, quite literally, is play Conquest. There is nothing else for you to do. Period. And unless you're a content creator and you stream or whatever the case may be, and you're not grinding the ladder, it's Infinite. It's Conquest or bust. Period. So that's all you're left with, and that's kind of an unfortunate place to be, and it's why a lot of people are kind of feeling the way they do currently about Snap, or like, well, we need new modes, we need something, because I don't want to grind for 1K and I don't like Conquest. So where does that leave me? Well, not playing.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you could play for fun if you don't care about your rank.
Sure,
You can't lower your MMR once you're Infinite.
that's fair, but that
Really?
gets old for a lot
Yeah.
of people after a time, I'm sure.
Your MMR is set once you hit Infinite.
No, it can raise, it cannot lower.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sets a floor for you when you hit Infinite.
Which is why once I hit Infinite, and then I end up, just playing
This is
stuff on
why I've
stream and
never
having
tried
fun.
Uh-huh.
Right, and I get to like 15,000. I'm still playing people that are like 1,800 rank. Or I played somebody
That's
yesterday
why
that
it
was
does that?
500 something. I was like,
I'm always like, why am I at like 10K and playing people in the top 2K?
Because your MMR says you are where you are because it's not
Correct.
getting any lower.
correct.
Your rank is, but your MMR is.
Yep.
Which they installed back when people used to tank out their MMR where they'd happen at the end when they'd get to 100 so that they could have an easier climb to Infinite, back when climb to Infinite was hard, and they just I think never took it out, or if they took it out they didn't tell us, and I've been giving bad information, but like they certainly have never updated us that they took that out. Gregor, you're in the creator program, right?
Yeah.
You should ask later on and be like, by the way, is that still there? But I'm pretty sure I'm gonna forget. I know I'm gonna forget it. But like I'm 99% sure that's still the case, because like every time I get to Infinite, my rank is super high and then I tank it. Usually outside of the season, because I don't give a shit once I'm Infinite. But like I get to Infinite super high every season, and then I'm always confused. I'm like, didn't I finish last season at like 17,000 when I didn't care? And I'm like, oh right, my MMR didn't actually
MMR.
care.
Yeah.
So for me, I think there is value in playing Infinite Ladder. It helps you get good at running a specific deck, and it helps you complete dailies. That's what I think about it for. You're going to learn how to play a deck really well on Ladder. I think there is more value in Conquest. Conquest teaches you to adapt better and learn skills that will help you develop more as a player. It will teach you how to adapt to situations, how to counter cards. Because when you're playing Conquest, there isn't an option to just retreat when there's a hard counter. Whereas on Ladder, there's always the option to retreat as soon as you see something that hard counters your card or your deck. So I think there's value in each of them.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Yeah. All right.
Next up.
Imbalance patches, hot locations, other. What does the meta need? What do you want, Flash?
A new game mode. But
Yeah.
guess that should go without saying.
But then why'd you say it, man? Why'd you say it?
On top of that, though, more specifically, I'm kind of done with hot locations, personally.
Oh, yeah.
Unless, of course, when we get a new location into the game, okay, fine. Want to showcase it and have everybody, familiarize themselves with the location. That's fine. But I don't want to just wake up one day and it's like, oh, Bar Sinister's a hot location. Why?
White Widow every match on 2.
Right. Like, I don't understand why that needs to be a thing. Like, featured location, for a new location, fine. But a hot location for, just because. And really, it's literally just because they're not tying it to anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't I don't think that's necessary, and I hate it personally. I'm like, I don't think the game needs that. It just doesn't.
I'm pretty sure that
again-
people get less playtime because of hot locations.
I fell 200 ranks because I just didn't play for it. I was just like, ooh, that's not. I went and I finished. I didn't even try. I just snapped on turn 1 in Gold Conquest every time. And I was like, I just need to. I wanted my Valkyrie and my Premium Mystery variant, and I got my Premium Mystery variant and Valkyrie by doing that for a day. And then today it was back, so I did.
I would like to see more of the imbalance patches. I really enjoyed those where they just have new synergies like the X-Men event or the Valentine event they had. Those are fun. I like those. I completely agree with you. I think that the hot locations should be done away with. I think they should do something similar to the way that Tavern Brawl is in Hearthstone, where it is rewarded for doing this, but it is not mandatory. And the thing I don't like about hot locations is that they tend to happen after a new season or after a new card, which prevents us from getting a good gauge as to is this new deck that we've made actually balanced and good? Is the new card actually good, or are we getting inflated results because of the hot location? And I don't think that's fair to players. In addition, I think a new game mode would be incredible for the game. Just a breath of fresh air overall. Give us draft mode. Do it. They probably won't.
God.
Give us some mode.
Right.
Like,
or
give us,
you said like 2 players.
Ladder's
like,
not a mode.
Yeah.
Right.
if you could play with other people and like use each other's decks or something, I don't know.
No.
Like,
you know, it should go away forever and ever. Hot locations. I hate hot locations with a fiery passion.
You.
I ignored both imbalance patches, but I would so prefer the level of imbalance patches they've had that I could just ignore the hot locations, because 80% of hot locations, and if it's not 80%, it sure as shit feels like 80% of hot locations, are unignorable without tanking. And yeah. I hate it. I hate hot locations. Like,
I just skip those days.
So I don't. Yeah. Look, my time to play is limited. So like the 200 ranks I lost, I gained back like 150 of them today, and it took time I did not have, and that was annoying. Right? Like,
bad.
I mean, I won't always care, but like since I care now, I'm especially annoyed about it. And I'll go back to just being like, well, I'm gonna just blow off some steam on some conquest for those days as soon as probably next season. But for the time being, I super hate them, and I would like them to go away forever and ever and ever and ever, and then go away a little bit further.
Hard agree.
Or make them optional. Like, if people want to do them.
So the problem is, I would betcha no one clicks that button, and then that doesn't exist.
But you reward it.
So that would be free. Are they seemingly in the habit of finding new ways to give us free stuff, and I'm missing it?
I mean, they do give us the reward track thing every Friday.
The one we have to pay for? Oh, but that was from the game's inception. They do give us the like daily login rewards, but you know what else gives us daily login rewards? Literally every mobile game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So like that's just like expectation of genre. So like they're not in the habit of like spending time coding things that aren't going to make them money.
Yeah. All right. I think we've talked a little bit about this one earlier, so we don't need to belabor it. Gregor, what are the most important differences between ladder and conquest?
Yeah, I hit on this a little bit. Like I was saying, ladder helps you get good at running a deck. You learn the deck, you learn the play lines, you learn what it's good against, you learn what it's bad against, and you learn what you should retreat on, which is a big part of Marvel Snap. Conquest doesn't give you that option. You're there whether your deck is good against the other deck or your deck gets hard countered by the other deck. I think the biggest thing is you need to have tech options in Conquest more than anything else. You want to have options so you don't get hard countered. So whether that be Shang-Chi, Enchantress, Red Guardian, Jeff, Shadow King, Killmonger, Cosmo, Rogue, Nocturne, Armor, Echo, Mobius, Goose, Scarlet Witch, Quake, Storm, Luke Cage. I wrote all these down. Ghost, Super Skrull, Super Giant, Leech, Valk, Sandman, or Magneto, you have options available to you, and you do not get destroyed.
Yeah, honestly, you couldn't have said it any better because those are the biggest, like I said, most important differences between the two. Conquest just requires a different thought pattern of playing the game than Ladder does, right? So you can't just play Conquest the same way you play Ladder. It doesn't work that way. You're in it
You're
for the
gathering
long
intel
haul.
too.
Exactly.
Like that's part of it is you're gathering intel about your opponent's deck.
Yes, and you have to know when to give that intel, right? You're saying you can't just, okay, I'm going to play this card for the sake of playing it, even though I know I'm going to lose this hand and retreat anyway. No, don't do that because they haven't seen that card yet. So maybe don't play it, retreat, and now you still have that piece of information that they don't have. So again, Conquest just requires a different thought process to being successful. Ladder is one and done. Right, you can scam wins in Ladder because nobody knows. You don't know which is why Hella is so successful in Ladder, because just like for the most part, unless you retreat for the one cube like Gregor does, which is very smart, but otherwise, decks that do that is just like, okay, you get to just win by surprise. You can't surprise win and not in Conquest. That's not how that works anymore. Because once your opponent knows what you're doing after a game or two, all the surprises are off the table. Now you're playing a skill game. So it just requires two different thoughts.
I think Conquest makes you a better overall player.
Agreed.
I think I improved massively once I started getting into Conquest and doing like really, really trying to grind out an infinite ticket, and then getting that infinite ticket made me better at the game overall.
Yes.
So it makes you better at the game to a certain extent. Once you've got the skill down, I think you're better off on Ladder. I think they're, generally speaking, as you try and climb, better players on Ladder. Largely because there's no, like, Conquest is isolated competitiveness, and there's no way to, like, share or spread that out outside of that single Conquest run. Whereas Ladder has the ranking, which gives you a thing to compare to, and a lot of the better players seem to care about that. And because of that, I think that, like, once you hit a certain level of being good, it's time to take that skill to Ladder. It is a great place to learn, though.
I think my biggest problem about Ladder is that it is just a one-off most of the time with the game. So if you get a bad draw or you get a bad locations, I don't think it's necessarily the best indication of whether your deck is good or whether you're good or bad. Sometimes you just lose. That's the game,
I think for me, the biggest difference is snapping and retreating in Ladder means a lot for the Ladder experience, but doesn't mean very much for an individual game. But on Conquest, snapping and retreating has like an immediate impact. And like being willing, like learning to like take that one cube on turn like 4 and retreating instead of like seeing what your opponent has to do, or like all kinds of sloppy like Ladder strategies. Because in the end of the day, cubes are infinite in Ladder, right? Time is the resource really that cubes shorten the resource of time on Ladder to get your climb, while in Conquest, cubes are everything. And so that I think is really interesting, and I think is where it shows like why Ben Brode and his design crew thought that the snap mechanic was a good idea, is in Conquest. On Ladder, I tend to be like, oh my god, this is like annoying, like more so than on when I play Conquest games. I find the snapping and retreating to be super interesting and super compelling. So for me, that's the biggest difference. All right, Flash. What cards would you like to see drop to Series 2?
I was going over this earlier, and the question in my brain reads as, does that mean that we're dropping a Series 3 card into Series 2, right? And putting it on the beginner track or whatever the case may be. And then with that information in my brain, I started to scroll through the Series 3 cards, and I didn't find anything that really stuck out like a sore thumb. Where I was like, yeah, you know what? This would be better served as a Series 3 card. As a Series 2 card that you should get earlier. Now, to be fair, there are some cards that exist in the Series 3 track that probably don't need to be there, probably need a rework, probably could be accessed earlier in the game. You know, Adam Warlock, for example. Unfortunately for Adam Warlock, which probably should just go back to being a 2-0, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. I don't. The list of cards here, I don't have anything that stands out to me. Hell Cow, maybe, because maybe give some people more access to that. And I say Hell Cow only because I played so much discard that Hell Cow does nothing once you've gotten to Series 3. Once you've gotten to Series 3 and you have other better discard options and you start to get access to stuff like MODOK, and not that that's a Series 3 card, but once you start to get access to those much better discard package cards, MODOK, Proxima, Corvus, etc., Hell Cow is just on the bench. Like, way on the bench. Like, never used ever. So, Hell Cow could probably go to Series 2. Some more early discard options.
Gregor, you make a list?
I did. Yep.
Of course he did.
So I saw this as, if I was a new player, what cards would I like to have access to earlier that would help me be, do more things, make new deck archetypes. So these are the ones I chose. I chose Rogue, Magic, Luke Cage, Daredevil, Arrow, Black Panther, Death, Wong, Patriot, and Spider-Man.
That's a great list.
Those are
for everything but Wong.
You say, okay, I can see that. Yeah, because Wong is a pretty strong package, but
when Wong happens, it just busts, right? Like, yes, there is an answer, but like, because Wong is so strong, I think like I don't want to have to tell every early series player play Cosmo in all your decks, like, because Magneto and like all these other things help Wong, and Junk and all these other things help Wong, right?
Yeah.
And like those don't exist in the earlier series either, so you'd have to put like all of them down together.
So let's cut Wong then. But I think I'm pretty much everything else.
Yeah, I agree with everything else.
Yeah, it's good. Glazer?
Wait, I'm going to add Red Guardian. Red Guardian should be in Series 2.
What?
Yep. It should be in Series 2. Tech card should be in Series 2. Yep. Red Guardian should not be in Series 3. It should be in Series 2. You should have access to Red Guardian early. It would completely change the early game meta in a really fun and healthy way.
See, I think we're on the same page there, because most of the stuff I listed were tech cards.
Uh-huh.
And I don't have
Roy convinced me of that early on, that how the game works is they give you the tech cards early so that as you're going through your Series 3 and now higher journey, you have answers and ability to compete. So I want as many of those answers and ability to compete to be earlier series as humanly possible.
I mean, I guess Shang is a Series 2 card, so I guess I can't really argue with that.
And so is Enchantress, right?
Shang, Enchantress is Series 1, I think, actually.
Yeah.
I think Enchantress is Series 1. You know what?
And then Cosmo is Series 1 or 2, like almost all the like original tech cards are. And then like they just like Rogue isn't, because you already had Enchantress, which like I'd still like Rogue to go down, but I understand. Like if you already have Enchantress, like whatever. It's also probably overpowered early when there's a lot of Blue Marvel decks everywhere. But like, yeah, just stick all the Professor X is in Series 2.
Jesus. I would like
newer players to have more options.
For me, there's one card, Jeff. I think Jeff should be in Series 2.
Sheesh.
Let's save Jeff for a conversation for later, because I don't even number that one, because I'm going to...
Flash. How has the werewolf buff been for you? We don't need to belabor this, because there's a lot of discussion of werewolf last week. But
okay. I feel like everyone stopped talking about it. That's why I asked the question.
Oh, Glazer asked the question.
Yeah, there's no name after it, right?
This is simple, and it should be the general answer for most people. The answer is great. Even though I don't play a lot of bounce type mechanic stuff and moving things, even I liked Werewolf when it came out, right? And then it got nerfed, and like everybody else, I'm like, this card is not going to be very playable at 4 cost. because of how the card functions, right? And then they kneecap Zabu, and then like, oh, you really can't play werewolf now. Like good luck. I just, it's good again, and that is okay. And because of all the power creep and because there are so many big, powerful cards in the game that have high numbers that you can play for low cost, and because you can drop 8,000 power on turn 6 with Hela. Yeah, werewolf needs to be a 3. It's okay. It's fine. Like it's okay to let a card be good. Damn, like Jesus Christ.
My take is so different than this. Gregor.
Damn.
So I said, yeah, bounce is one of my least played deck types alongside move. The reason being that I do enjoy the type. They're just really complicated and difficult to play optimally. I was very happy to see the change to werewolf by night. I was saying that he should have been changed to a 3 cost a while ago. I'm glad they lowered his base stat line. There are ways to play around werewolf. You can mess with their curve because they're dropping lots of cards. Supergiant messes with curve. You can play Sandman and stop their last play. There are a lot of things you can do to stop them if you think werewolf is going to go out of control. You know, there are tech options.
And let me just, before Glazer goes off, let me just point out that the W deck with, Sarah, and he's throwing werewolf in there, gives that deck an option. I'm a huge Sarah control fan. I didn't mention that earlier as in the package discussion. But adding werewolf to that, where you're just kind of like, oh, I get to do a thing. It's a fallback. If some of the other things don't happen and werewolf happens to be on the board, you're like, oh, I can play Sarah and bounce that werewolf around a bunch of times and do a tech thing along with that. Yeah, that's just good.
I think werewolf's been terrible.
Damn.
Like,
really?
Actively atrocious. I've got one surfer deck that'll be tomorrow/yesterday as this podcast comes out that I think it's like good-ish in. But I think,
do you think he needs a buff?
I think he's probably fine as a 3/3. I think he's actively bad right now. Too much of the meta is either junky stuff. Things like White Widow are so bad for him.
That makes sense.
Like just White Widow, let alone Debris or Annihilus or any of the other things, are absolutely backbreaking. And like you get stuck with like a 3/5 Widow Wolf a lot. Like I think
and Professor X as well.
Yeah, and Professor X and Storm and just and like with all bounce, just general bad location bullshit. I think the card is bad. Like bad. It does have one very small upside. It's good with Ravonna. You don't get to play it early, but you can play it on 4 sometimes. Like, because otherwise, if you're playing it alone on 4, you're just dead. Like, it has to be played exactly on 3 as a 3/1, unless you had Ravonna, and then you can play it with some other stuff. But, like, I think the card is bad. Like, I think Werewolf is bad. I think it's easily the worst of the bounce options. Like, I think it's worse than Sage, Sasquatch, or Hippo.
You think he could work good in like a Asgardian package with Thor? Maybe. And
that's where I was using him. I was in the top 4. I haven't actually played that deck because of my experience with werewolves were so bad that I was like, I need a break from this card. The other place I like him in Surfer. Very, very hyper specific Surfer that I don't know if it's good. But I went 5-0 with the deck I'm featuring tomorrow / again yesterday. It's Ben Roller's deck. Shouts to Ben. Ben is great. We love Ben. But yeah, it's like it's a werewolf deck, but it's just because it was already a Surfer move deck, and so it might as well run werewolf.
It's fair. Could probably get some power. I'm not going to disagree with that.
Yeah.
I like almost certainly think that like Thor's and that other package are where it goes, and I think it's totally fine as a 3/3 at this point. Like, because if you get it down on 4 as a 3/1 and you can't move it immediately, like almost bad. No matter what you're doing, it's a terrible card. Like in a world where we have multiple,
plus 2 per move, right?
Yeah, in a world where we have multiple 4/10s, that's just not going to.
That's true.
Because if you're moving it that many times at that point, you don't have any other real way to get that much power.
It is true.
All right. Where are we?
What tech card could use a rework, Gregor?
Can you read this person's name, please, Roy?
Oh my god.
No, I'm good.
Makes me laugh.
Salty meat sweats.
Mm.
So
didn't
I
choose
had
Gregor, just-
written down Adam Warlock and Ghost. I don't know what I would do with
Adam
Ghost, but
Warlock a tech card? I mean, that is
I
a
don't-
serious question.
I had trouble deciphering whether I thought Adam Warlock was a tech card also.
I mean, getting cards into your hand could be useful, and it could play against Darkhawk, for example.
It's
So,
utility, right?
yeah. Those were the two that I immediately came to mind. I think there is something advantage wise that you can get that could take away from an opponent, which is what I think a tech card is. If it hurts your opponent when you play it, that's some form of tech. So I think Adam Warlock kind of falls into that. Ghost, I don't know what I would do. I like Ghost's
I like
ability that your cards resolve last. I just don't see her played a lot.
The answer is Ghost. You 100% nailed it. And I
Have a different.
even like I scroll through the list of cards twice, and I'm like, Ghost stands out like a sore thumb, and I'm
I've got one that Flash is going to beat himself up for not saying.
oh damn it.
Come on,
But-
Ronin fan. What's the Ronin card that doesn't go in Ronin decks?
Is it Baron Mordo?
Mordo.
No,
I love Mold.
not Mordo.
I love the new
Master
Mordo. I'm like,
Mold.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Master
I
Mold
get-
needs a rework badly.
Yeah, I
Fill your
suppose.
opponent's hand.
Fill your
I
opponent's
get-
hand with
fill your
Snout
opponent's hand.
Sentinels. That would be very bad.
No, it would not. It's funny because I played a game on ladder, playing some Ronin stuff, against KK, and she was playing Destroy, and she was just, and I think Altar of Death was on the board, and she just kept dropping the Sentinels into Altar of Death. I'm like, well, that's bad for me. Yeah, Master Mode could definitely use a rework if if we're putting in the tech card category. But Ghost really stands out like a sore thumb because I'm like, nobody plays Ghost, even when it got buffed. Everybody's just like, because 3-5 is supposed to be a great stat line, and you look at
No,
all the
it's
other
not.
3.
That's not true.
Okay, it's a
3-5
good,
is
okay. Let me.
no 3-5 is now their baseline 3 stat line.
That's fair.
Yep.
Now let me rephrase that. 3-5 is a good stat line when a card has a good ability on it, right? You're looking at all the 3-5s that have good Baron Zemo, Black Swan, Corvus Glaive, Deathlock, Lady Sif, Nocturne, Polaris, Spider-Man, Viper, Wave. I skipped over Sabretooth because Jesus Christ, can we do something else with Sabretooth?
Yeah.
But it should just be a 2-3. Sabretooth should just be Swarm for Destroy. I don't know why it's not, but that's neither here nor there.
Just that would break Destroy, maybe?
So, what's your point?
Sounds like Destroy needs it. It needs a
Yeah,
little
no,
something.
yeah.
Destroy was the best deck or in the top 5 in the meta for like 6 straight months. Can it be bad for more than like 3 weeks before we're like, can we buff this back to the meta? Like, just chill. You could do. So that was like when everyone's like, I hate that Leech took away my favorite deck. I'm like, my favorite deck was Bounce, and all they did was destroy that deck for months. Every time a decent new Bounce card came, it's like, Banhammer, Nerf, Smash. And like, yes, I like to play my favorite deck too, but I learned to play other things as well because what the game made me. Destroy players can do the same for a little while. It'll be okay.
Oh, of course.
Destroy
It won't hurt.
100%. I don't disagree.
It's not
But
that
again,
bad. Yes, it's just
no,
not. It's nowhere
not.
near as bad as
It's not-
Bounce was.
Listen,
it's
if
not in me.
Destroy is in a bad place, I'm worried about the game. That's all I'm saying. Like, I need the Destroy to be somewhat good all the time.
It's always
Yeah.
somewhat good all the time.
It is
I just
somewhat
don't know.
good.
Yeah. But I don't know what changes you make to Ghost to make the card more, I don't know what word you want to use, viable, playable, whatever. But did the ability look good before the card came out? We're like, oh yeah, that sounds kind of cool. And then it came out and we're like, this is weird. This doesn't work. This isn't working the way I thought it would. And nobody played it. A buff. People played it for a day and they were like, wait, I still don't like that. And now nobody's playing it again. I don't know what you do to Ghost to make that card better or whatever. But the answer to me is Ghost.
It'll have its metas.
Sure.
It saves you from Shang-Chi. Like,
So, like, it was
Sure.
in some of the like a couple months ago. I guess I don't time again.
Was in some
December.
Ceradex.
Yeah, it was in some of the Ceradex in December. It's still perfectly fine. There's a lot of good cards. The problem is that like it's really hard for old cards to see any play now because every fucking new card they release is so good. Like
Yeah.
Rogue is like in a quarter of the decks it should be because Supergiant is out, right? Like all those Supergiants that you see in decks are just Rogues or Shadow Kings that are now like, oh, I've got a Rogue plus a Shadow King.
You mean Red Guardian?
Yes, thank you. Uh-huh.
Okay.
I don't know what I said, but yes,
You said
Guardian.
Super Giant, and I'm
Super
like,
Giant.
I meant
I was
Red
like-
Guardian. I don't know where
I was
that
like,
came from in my brain.
Did I
Sorry.
miss Super Giant?
I did a
meta-defining card?
Mobius Coulson. Sorry, no.
Fair.
Red Guardian is Rogue plus Shadow King.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Oh.
like, why am I generally speaking running those other two cards, which are both very powerful but narrower? If they keep releasing extremely powerful new cards, it makes it harder for cards like Ghost to find play.
Not that Ghost
Also,
itself played,
my
but
answer,
it's
by the way, is
a new
none
card.
of that. It's Cosmo should only hit one side of the board. Boom.
only hit your opponent.
Hmm.
That actually makes the card less interesting.
Yeah, I don't care. I think that on reveals are
Stronger.
too much. I think on reveals are too much, and I want shit to hit on reveals hard. And like Cosmo doesn't get played because it hits you.
You'd have to change the power, though, right? I'm sure.
I don't know. Like, let it be a 3/3 and see.
3-2.
You can try it at a 3/2, but like I'd be willing. Like a 3/3 is a bad stat line in the first place.
But
Sure.
you're
Like, right
stopping
now,
all
he's
on
gonna be at
reveals
3-4.
on your opponent's
But it
side,
gets so
which
much
is
stronger
At one
with that
location.
ability.
Yeah.
It's a 0. Yeah.
But it'd be nice if something answered on reveals. And it obviously can't be Leech, and it like Cosmo, because it hits you, can't really do that, right? Like you can't hit him in hand because that's too strong, and you can't hit him in deck, or because obviously that's broken. And once they've hit the board, they've already done the thing.
I don't disagree with your thought process at all. I think Cosmo, though, the way the card is thought about from a design perspective is you use it offensively and defensively. You know, so you're either using it to stop your opponents on reveals or you're using it to stop them from blowing up your big things or stopping your ongoings or whatever the hell is you want to protect. So it's like it has that two-way effect.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I guess it doesn't lose that in your example because then they still can't do the on reveal thing on their side.
Mhm.
So I guess
But-
in a vacuum it just makes it stronger.
It doesn't
That's the idea.
allow you
Yeah.
to, like, if Magneto moving things is bad for you, it removes the ability to play it in the Cosmo lane and win that lane without disrupting the plan. I think a card like Cosmo, one-side Cosmo, could exist if it was until the next turn or whatever, your opponent's on reveals do not work here. But not for the rest of the game. This you cannot play on reveals, but I can.
Leech hitting both hands would be almost fine.
what if it was like no on reveals on next turn?
Yeah, something like
So
that.
I want Leech to be no on reveals for anything that costs more than it.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
you like incentivize some big shit,
Right.
but like not big on reveal shit.
All right. Well, is Jeff too good? Is it too played, Gregor?
I'm glad you asked me first. Jeff is perfect. Don't touch my child. I think he is the best 2-drop in the game. I don't think that's a bad thing. He offers flexibility and utility and isn't offered by any other card in the game. Leave my baby alone. Thank you.
Well said. For a long time, Jeff has been the best 2-drop in the game. Sometimes is flirted with, and I shouldn't even say sometimes, with arguably being one of the best cards in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Hard stop. Is it too played? It's played a lot because we're in it. What exists as it's necessary. So sometimes Jeff isn't played a lot.
Bullshit. I call bullshit. It has been the most played card in Marvel Snap for like 6-7 straight months.
Has it been that long? You sure? Really?
Yes. The only thing that ever competes with it is Shang. And Shang's a fucking Series 2 card, and Jeff's a Series 5 card. It's in like 49% of decks right now.
I think the value you get at his cost point, it's hard to compete with. Does that mean he needs to get nerfed?
No, it does not mean he needs to get nerfed.
I don't think so. Because nothing that Jeff does has anybody... look, to be fair, over the course of that span of time, I haven't heard anybody say Jeff is a problem.
So just because people don't say it doesn't mean it's not true.
Well, yes.
Like, I think Jeff is ultimately healthy. I don't think it should be like completely wrecked or anything. But I think that it is probably fairly limiting for design space, that there's 1-2 that's just like, look, they're not going to change Jeff. Jeff is a big bad. It's going to be in Series 5 because they can make people spend money to get Jeff at all times. But it severely limits design space. Like when people started cutting Jeff for White Widow, it was like, oh, that's wrong. Right? It's just like immediately like, oh, and White Widow is like a fairly OP card. And it's like, that doesn't even hold a fucking candle to Jeff. You should not do that.
Right.
Like, that's probably too good. Like, look, ready for the pitchforks? It's probably fine as a 2-2.
I mean,
if you get my son changed, I'm going to be very upset.
No one's listening to me. It's fine. I don't have any.
There's going to be a change. That's the one.
It's not. It's a Series 5 forever.
I mean, the only criminal thing about Jeff is that it's the Series 5 forever. Like that. I mean, because all the problems with Jeff are not problems with the card Jeff. They're problems with Marvel Snap. Like, what makes Jeff such a compelling two-drop is there's so much bullshit in Marvel Snap that occasionally makes it so you can literally not play cards. You can, that your options are so limited, and having a card that is always playable, like literally not just always playable in the sense it can always go to your deck, but literally you can always play it no matter what bullshit your opponent or what bullshit the locations the game has done, is beautiful.
I would also accept more Jeffy stuff.
Yeah, more. Yeah, I'm also about more Jeffy stuff. Like, I think,
give me like a 1/1 card that would be cool, or that does something similar.
I personally think Nocturne should have been she's a 3-drop, right? She should have been a 2-drop. Like, it's like effects like it's like things like that. Like,
so Nocturne's already one of the 5 best cards in Marvel Snap. I'm not sure we should mess with it too much.
No, I'm just saying, like, but if you want to push Jeff out, that's the kind of design. It's less that Jeff is limiting design space. It's that Marvel Snap has limited design space. And like, Jeff is just a feel good card. Like, it never ever feels bad to play Jeff. Like, and that's what you want to be encouraging in players. Like, and again, there's always going to be a best default card. Is there a better, less frustrating best default card to play in Marvel Snap than Jeff?
Loki.
Oh yeah, definitely Loki Glazer. Definitely. Everyone's always like, man, Loki. That's the card. What is Loki? A 4-drop now? Like is he back up to 5? I don't fucking know what that card. Like,
it's amazing that he's not a 5-drop. But yes, he is a 4.
Everyone's like, oh yeah, I love games where people play Loki. So
I think they should just make Jeff the official mascot of Marvel.
You almost
do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that. He's adorable. All right, Glazer. Next slide. Personal life stuff.
I clicked the wrong slideshow. Excuse me. I still have to make tomorrow's video slideshow.
All right. I guess this is more specifically about Glazer.
No, it's not.
Any traditions with students, I guess, work at the end of the year, start of summer?
Also, you're a teacher, Roy.
I am. Well, I know I am.
And other people do things at the start of summer, too, as traditions.
Do they? Is that a thing?
It is. I don't, but it is a thing.
Okay.
I don't either.
My wife does.
In my normie non-teacher jobs, seasons didn't matter very much, but
so
beyond Christmas.
Like my wife is a paralegal, and they always have whatchamacallit. They have like a dinner. It's not the right word, but they have like a dinner party thing at the start of summer that they like all look forward to, and sometimes they theme it and do shit. stuff like that. Like different jobs and such have that. Yeah, whatever. Okay, I guess. Sorry, I guess we're answering this right. I'm sorry, friends. I didn't know if you did, but okay.
Well, we can ask. Do you have any seasonal change traditions, Flash or Gregor?
I start wearing shorts more.
There you go.
For sure. Not for summer, because I hate hot weather.
I'm
I'm a
with you.
cold weather type
with
of
you.
I'm
guy.
with you, Flash.
Mhm.
My
100%.
favorite holiday, if whatever you want to call, quote unquote, if you want to call it a holiday, is Halloween. I'm a Halloween guy, right?
Mm.
It is my top tier festive time of the year, and I will keep carrying the. I will die on the hill that Halloween should be that entire weekend of whenever that the end of the month is. Period. It should just be
The month.
It already is.
I'm trying to be reasonable. So, but
Spooky
like, I think
season.
the whole like event of trick or treating, et cetera, should be the last weekend of October. Period. Like Saturday and Sunday, maybe even Friday night. Like that whole weekend should be the whole event. But that's one man's opinion, standing on get off my grass. But
You have grass? Yeah,
So let's get
No,
off your
you
grass. It's more
you
radical.
you definitely moved from New York to
opinions.
have grass.
Flash.
I grew up in the suburbs anyway, so on Long Island, I had grass. We had grass. Freeport, Long
Yeah,
Island.
Yeah, but your
Oh,
grass
Freeport.
was, your
Okay,
grass
cool.
was surrounded by racism, so it's fine.
Oh my god.
Fucking Long
All right,
Island.
all right,
All
all
right.
right.
We were
Sorry.
very diverse where I grew up.
Were you? Okay, good.
Very much so, actually.
Sorry, I went to Stony Brook, so
Oh no, we
Yeah.
weren't that far. We
Yeah.
weren't that far east. We were
Okay.
like, this is Nassau County. So
Okay.
Nassau County.
okay, so you were still okay. You
Yeah.
didn't get out into the
Oh no.
All right. Glazer, do you do anything at the end of the year? Tradition?
I have a year-end speech for my kids, and then I almost always end up working like the first week of summer, and then I try and have lunch with everyone possible and run out of money before August. Because they give us a lump sum at the end of June, and they're like, "Don't spend this all in one place." I'm like, "I'm gonna spend this all in one
Mhm.
place," and then I have no monies.
That's why
Thank
Glazer's
God
not going
for
to
content
SnapCon.
creation now. No, it's not. That's not why I'm not going. I begged for a date for months, and Carla was eventually like, "I want to go to Colombia and visit my family on these days. Let's go." I was like, "I don't have a SnapCon date, so sure, let's go." So like, we booked it, and then of course, like a week later, it's like SnapCon is exactly these days.
Yep.
So I was like, "Well,
what you get,
it's
Glazer.
fucking Colombia."
That's what you
So,
get.
I mean, like, just tell me the dates more than 2 months in advance. But I guess there's nothing for it at this point.
Well,
Like, 'cause I was going to plan my literal whole vacation around making sure I went to SnapCon, but like, I couldn't. Like, I had to get tickets. They get expensive.
True.
I write a goodbye card to all of the graduating seniors that I work with.
No.
So this year,
Sweet.
since I didn't directly teach that many seniors, I wrote like 14. Last year, I wrote one for every single one of my students, which was 98 of them. It took a month. It was a lot. But next year, I'll have 106. So I'm looking forward to that. Plus my Model UN kids. So that's going to be a lot. But yeah, that's what I do. I write, like, I buy graduation cards for all the kids. And in the last week of school, I give them all cards. So
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Prom is the best. We do prom the night before graduation because my school misguidedly thinks that will make teenagers not drink and not just be hungover at graduation.
yeah, like I was at my college graduation.
I was definitely drunk at my college graduation. But neither here nor there. Just so like, but I absolutely adore prom. I fucking
Prom's
love
fun.
prom. I go to like the happy hour and then I get the fuck out of there before anyone gets messy, and it's great.
Well, I worked the entirety of prom. This year I worked 17 hours on prom day.
Oh, your prom happened?
Yeah, it happened on the 18th.
Oh, cool.
Damn.
Yeah, so I was there from 8 o'clock in the morning until 1 a.m. Fun times. It
I
was
would
actually a
not
fun
do that.
time. Kids' outfits look great. But that's for me being the lead teacher for the 12th grade. Anyway, how do you balance public life content creation with your private real life? Work, kids, getting recognized, etc. Ooh, all right, influencers. How do you balance that? Any of you can take this.
Roy is the only one who uses his full real name on these, by the way.
My name.
That's funny. You know, the answer to that question for me is I have no clue because I do so much where I'm like, okay, I have to do. You go to work, you go to the second job, you got the kids to manage. You know, you have a spouse. I'm not sure how I fit all of that in and still. Now, again, sometimes things take a hit, right? Do I wish I could release more YouTube videos? Yes. Would I like to stream more often? Yes. But I just can't fit all of that in, unfortunately, because these are things that I'm now realizing that I'm passionate about. And my job that I spend 35 to 40, sometimes a little bit more hours a week at, I very much dislike. So that's difficult for me, but it is what it is. But I find enough time there otherwise doing all of these other things where, you know, especially stuff like getting recognized, right? It's unique in a way where, and, you know, for me, I spend so much time on Twitter and et cetera. That's an easy thing to access, right? It's on your phone. It's always there. So you're like, oh, you can send a tweet out. And sometimes you have a tweet about a Ronin deck that you built. And then all of a sudden has 49,000 interactions. You're like, what just happened? And all of a sudden, Glazer's sending you a message, Safety Blade sending you a message. And now all of a sudden, people know who you are in this space. And it just happens. But you can't force those things to happen. They sometimes fall in your lap and you take advantage of the situations that have been presented to you. And I have done enough in this space where these things here make the quote unquote real life just a bit easier for me because this is a safe space. And I've built my brand, and the little, you know, the few people that hang out, it is a very safe space and everybody has a good time. So, yeah.
Gregor?
So this is kind of my full-time thing. Just the content creation thing. I have a really supportive family, luckily. And
I didn't know that. Yeah. Cool. Congrats.
Yeah.
For real.
I'm trying to make it work, and it's slowly going upwards. So we're trying to make YouTube partner and make, you know, get that passive income going and things like that. But I am autistic and I work very much off of a schedule and just consistency throughout the day. So I wake up in the morning, eat breakfast, go to the gym. If it's Monday, I'm doing the stream and doing the deck review guide. On Tuesday, I upload a video. I try to get a video, 2 deck guides a week, and I try to get some kind of short form content every night if I can before I go to bed. So that's kind of my go-to, and I stream Monday, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So that is my consistent thing that keeps me grounded, and it doesn't feel like a chore. Like, this is what I like to do. This is what I enjoy doing. And I don't know. I don't have kids. I'm single right now, and it's not a bad thing. Like, I really like myself, and I like the group of people that I've surrounded with myself. So I'm in a really good spot right now.
You know, besides tech, we're over tech. Tech. Sorry. He's not going to listen. It's fine. Someone will message him this in the middle of his stream. He's like, Glazer.
As far as getting recognized, I've never been recognized IRL before. Like, oh, that's Gregor. That's never happened to me. But I have gotten the Spider-Man, like, the point at you. And I'm like, I don't know who. I have no idea who you are. But that's pretty cool. That's like a little.
To me all the time now.
Yeah, there's just people pointing at you, and I'm like, okay, that means that they either know me or they're just emote spamming me. But it's cool. Like, I love how small this community is in a good way. Like, it's big and it's small at the same time. Like, we all know each other. We all talk to each other. And there's just a lot of really good people in this community. And I feel really grateful to be a part of it.
Yep.
Snap remains the unstressful part of my life. The real life stuff is like what's stressful, and Snap is how I balance that.
Correct.
Like, it's not how I balance Snap with the rest of it. It's how, like, Snap helps me balance all the other bullshit I have to deal with. Like, running from 8,000 activity to 8,000 activity, I had something along the lines of 7 or 8 union meetings today, in addition to doing a bunch of testing all day. Like, I need something to keep me busy and keep my brain occupied so I don't go bad dealing with all the real life bullshit, and Snap is great for that. Plus, therapy is nice.
Yeah, therapy is nice, and I 100% agree with all of those things. And for me, it's just video games as a whole scale, right? As somebody who's 41, I've been playing video games for over 30 years, right? So I'm like, it took me a long time to realize it was something I was passionate about and not just something that I did all the time from time to time. But once I identified that, but again, it wasn't until I got to like 39, 40 that I identified that, oh shit, I actually love this shit. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's like, it's the only thing that I do that when I do it, everything else, like Glazer said, gets balanced around it, because you're like, oh, this is the balancer. The games for me is the balancer. And yeah, a lot of it is Snap, but it's much more for me, right? It's Snap, it's Diablo, it's this, it's that. Multiverses just came out. There's so many things that's just like, yeah, I'm a gamer. Like when people are like, oh, what kind of games you play, or what do you like? I'm like, oh man, how much time do you got? Because
Yeah,
Well, I found
takes
interesting
for me, I have to say 4 letters when people ask what kind of game I like.
Snap.
JRPG.
JRPG.
Oh,
like,
okay.
It's one of my good. Like I love that too. But there's very few genres of games that I'm like, nah, I don't like that. Like the only one there is one, and it's real time strategy. I can't do RTS.
I like real-time strategy.
I can do turn based strategy,
You do
but
that too.
RTS, I'm just like
Sports
and
games
those
for me.
I'm
for
old
me,
and don't
'cause
have reflexes.
the
So it's the games with
ADHD.
reflexes.
I can't do, like, my ADHD hates it. So I'm like, nah, I can't do it's too many decisions to be made.
So, for most of my adult life, I've been making some kind of public facing content or activities. Like, I was the op-ed columnist for my student newspaper at college. I was then the op-ed editor. And then in the mid 2000s, or I guess mid 2010s, actually, I helped run a professional and found a professional blog and podcast about history that was pretty well known and notorious. And then Glazer and I did 5 years, 6 years, 7 years of content for a different game together. And then now Marvel Snap.
That one was bad for my mental health, though.
Yeah. I have never been recognized in public by anyone.
What game was it? I'm curious.
God, I did.
I know Glazer did.
A Game of Thrones living card game. I was walking in Poland by a river, and fucking someone was like, Glazer! I was like, what the fuck just happened?
That never happened to me. But what does happen to me is the number of projects I've been working on that I'm like at a social event and people just start talking shit about it to me. Like, I am not involved. They're like, this thing that is done that you put all these hours in sucks. Like, here, please listen here why I'm going to expound on why this thing sucks. Then I'm like, oh, like I do that. And they're like, fuck, I did not know that you did this. I would not have said these things to you. That has happened in every single piece of like public facing thing I've done in my life. So that is
never happened for this.
It has not happened for this. That is true. I'm sure it will at some point though. But that is generally how I deal with it, not having been recognized. So I've had some students find this stuff, but that's pretty.
Me too.
They're more like, why do you do this? So that's more like,
damn.
I have a real answer. I'm like, why'd you do this? I'm like, you know what teachers get paid in America?
Actually,
I'm like,
hey, and that's what I say too. I say I help my friend get paid.
Yeah.
So, all right. Summer plans. Gregor, Flash, do you have any fun summer plans? Right now, Glazer's going to Columbia.
I have more summer plans
that
are very important for this podcast.
I'll get to you.
Mine's easy. So
go ahead.
The answer is no. Don't. None. Keep working. So
hey, no, you have summer plans? You just
Do
don't
I?
know. Yeah, I'll tell you what they
Okay,
are in a
well.
few minutes.
Fair. Great. Good. I can't wait. Go ahead, Gregor.
So I'm over in Washington, so probably maybe some camping, hiking
nice.
over the summer.
I
Got a
live
lot
in
of
Fun
awesome
Fact.
trails and things like that. Try to do something outside. I think it'll be nice.
Fun fact, Gregor, I lived in Washington for a year.
Oh yeah,
My
like it?
senior year of high school, Lacey, Washington. I spent my last year of high school, River Ridge High School. Yes, Washington is very clean and the trees are nice and there weren't any potholes anywhere. It was a stark difference from even in suburbs of Long Island in Nassau County. It was a very big difference. People were like, "You got a New York accent." I'm like, I was 17. I was like, I don't know what that means. As you get older, I'm like, oh, that's what they were talking about. But yeah, fun fact. And that actually went along with my public recognition because when I ran track most of high school and I was very good. And when I went to Washington, the school that I was at, it was a big track high school. And I came from a football high school. When going to a track high school where you are the star athlete, people would just the first few weeks of school that I knew nobody because we did a summer program before school started. People were like, "Oh, yay, what's up, man?" I'm like, no idea who these people are. How do they know who I am? That was that's the time that happened for me. Yeah.
All right. So, Flash, your plans this summer are Tech and I are having a tournament. So you should probably come to that. That's
In
your plan.
person?
Plans to come visit. Yeah.
In New York?
Is it going to be like Brookland?
It's going to be exactly Brooklyn. We don't know when.
You mean Brooklyn?
Actually, I think we do.
Right.
No,
Yeah, we're still working
Brookland.
that out.
Like a place called Brooklyn.
Yes, there's a place called Brooklyn. That's
Okay.
where the tournament will be. Yes, correct.
Okay.
It will be very likely in Brooklyn. I think we have a date, but I ain't announcing it without his permission. So, but that's happening.
Except he did just announce. By the way, friends, he did just
No.
announce.
I'm not announcing the date. I'm telling people
There's
so that
conversations
they can start
happening.
getting
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be soon. TM. I think we're announcing something in June is the hope. But yeah, there will be a Brookland tournament. So, Gregor, if you want to come down, please feel free. I'll try and get Roy.
Come down from the state of Washington to New York City?
I don't.
Yes,
wow, a little bit of a trip.
You are up there with now my students with their understanding of geography, Aaron. I mean, this is a man who once said that the only thing the Midwest has is trash cans that are on fire. That is so.
But where's the lie? Tell me when I'm telling lies.
So
all right, but beyond my totally accurate previous statement, I'm also visiting Roy. He has no choice.
Oh,
Every second weekend, my wife is like, "We're going to visit Roy." I'm like, "Can we fucking tell Roy?"
yeah, you need to tell me because I have very important summer plans, man. Very important.
Great. So tell me what weekend you're free and we're visiting.
We'll figure something out.
Because it is very So I haven't seen Roy since COVID.
Before COVID, last time I saw
the weekend
you
that COVID
was
happened,
February, not Valentine's Day weekend. Nope, I saw you.
It wasn't
Like
Worlds.
2020?
I mean, look,
at Worlds.
you, unlike my
2020.
dream, we both had a dream of commenting the World Championship for Game of Thrones Golden Card Game, despite doing the commentation for 2 U.S. nationals. And my commentating partner Aaron Glazer, that we had done 2 U.S. nationals together. Was I asked to be one of the commentators for that final World Championship? No, I was not. And will I die salty about that after giving up 6 years of my life to that game?
So
yes, I
much like Marvel Snap, no one asked me. I fucking cold DM'd someone who worked there and was like, "Yo, I want to do commentary. I don't want to play in this shit. Can I do commentary?" And they're like, "What? I don't know." And I was like, "Come on, go ask your boss." They said yes, which is how things happen for me.
I will die
that's
salty.
how Glenn Jones got on the podcast. That's how all these things happen.
I'm just gonna die salty, Aaron. Just gonna die salty about that.
All right. So yeah, I was supposed to go visit Roy in March of 2020. We literally had a hotel
the day DC shut down.
The day DC shut down, and we were like, we were like, should we still go? I'm like, no. So and then we've been like, we should go every my wife literally brings it up constantly. My wife loves his one.
Great.
And just would very much like to make this visit happen. Largely to, honestly, I think, go to museums with you guys.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But my very, very serious summer plans is that the new Legend of Heroes game comes out in July, and so I have to beat the last one, which
Kuro no Kaseki.
I am like 3/4 the way through. I will beat that like a day before or 2 days before the new one comes out. I'll play that. Also, we'll play Final Fantasy Rebirth. The way my summer is planned to work for most days is my wife, on weekdays, my wife will go to work. I will wake up at between 11 and 1 p.m. Then the dog and I will move from the bed to the couch. I will then boot up the video game system. And while the video game system is booting up, I will get some food. Then I will sit and eat the food and play video games. And then my wife will return. And then, depending on what mood she's in, I will either continue to play video games or I will hang out with her. That is what I will do for probably at least 3 to 5 weeks of my 6-week summer vacation. So
I mean, that's not dissimilar to my July, except for visit you one weekend and throw tournament with Ken. And pick up kid.
So do you have a child? It's like I have a dog.
Yeah, but he goes to camp. He does not go to camp in August. This is not nice, but it's so true. August is kind of a nightmare because there's no camp and trying to find something to do every fucking day sucks.
Well, I'm back at work in August, so our first day back is the 12th. So,
what the fuck? That's wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
My first day back is like 3 days after my birthday, and I'm still salty about it.
Yeah. Anyway, we should move on to the last couple questions here as we wrap up today.
All
right. Gregor or Flash, what makes you laugh? Movie, TV shows, life foibles?
I am a huge fan of, I go back to a lot of things because, again, balancing ADHD. So, my favorite show, ever, is Seinfeld, right? So,
you should not read his recent quotes.
Oh, Jesus.
It's real bad.
Oh, Christ. I hate when this happens. Well, nevertheless, those things, provide this level of balance for me. I love those old Seinfeld, Martin, Married with Children,
Mm-hmm.
all of those things are just great. I always go back to those things. Movies, if I need to laugh or I'm down and I need a movie to pick me up, it's somehow always almost always Clue. I can't tell you how many, or The Burbs. Those two movies I've watched so many times. Tom Hanks is so great in that movie, in The Burbs. But Clue is just an odd thing for me that I just love. It has so many odd nuances that are funny for no reason. These little quips and quirks. It's great. Yeah, I love that stuff. Yeah.
Gregor?
For me, I also have the ADHD, and I have the attention span of a goldfish. TikToks. TikToks are the things that make me laugh. If you don't want to follow me on TikTok for the Snap content, you should follow me for my reposts, because I repost funny stuff. But just, I don't know. The most recent thing that made me laugh was that fully conscious baby that wants to go to the Four Seasons Orlando. I don't know if you've seen this. Basically, they ask a bunch of children who wants to go to the Four Seasons Orlando, and there's a toddler who just does this and me, who should not have consciousness yet. You don't gain consciousness at that age. So basically, TikTok is just going around dubbing over old English, indubitably, mother, yes, I would love to go to the Four Seasons Orlando, stuff like that. I don't know, brain rot.
I hate TikTok. It eats my life whenever I open it, so I very rarely open it. I should post Marvel Snap content there regularly, and I don't like the app, so I don't. It's terrible, terrible app, so I don't like it. I do like memes. I send memes. I receive memes. Memes are great humor. I like sitcoms. For my money, Scrubs, Parks and Rec, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine are the three funniest sitcoms.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine is great.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine is completely hilarious. But I don't like cringe humor, and it crosses over into cringe humor too much to be in my top tier. So it's tier 2 as far as like liking it, but it's tier 1 in terms of funny for me.
Can I add something real quick?
Yeah.
TV show Smiling Friends.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's on like Adult Swim. Oh. It's made by a bunch of old guys who did animation from like what was it? The like early internet days. Like real like salad. I don't know. I'm giving away my age here, but it's funny. I like it.
Works for me. And I don't really rewatch comedy movies very often, but there's a whole fuck ton I love that just I watch. Friday. I've seen Friday so many times that I could literally at one point in my life, if you press play, next Friday I don't like it all. I only like the first one.
Most people don't.
I didn't like a single other Friday movie. But I could at one point, if you started the movie and I got like the opening like beat, I could literally quote the entire movie before that.
Yeah. So, I love Friday also. Friday's great.
Also, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I have never sat down and watched a ton of it. Every episode I've watched, I've liked, but I need my big thing in media is I need likable characters. If I don't like the characters,
that's the whole
show.
They're worse people than the people in Seinfeld.
But for lots and lots of shows, right? Like lots of movies, lots of TV shows, where it's just like I'll watch them. It's like this is a story about terrible people, and I'm out. I need someone to like. If I don't like someone, I can't get into it.
For me, this shows you how much time I spend at work. It's Gen Z. My students make me laugh all the fucking time, and particularly their relationship foibles. Oh man. Like that shit makes me laugh. It's like having a reality show that I get paid to experience because oh man, my kids crack me up. Sometimes on purpose, sometimes accidentally, sometimes just the foibles of dealing with teenagers every single work day. You have to maintain good humor because if you don't, you're gonna get poisoned by just how annoying teenagers can be. So you got to take what they do in stride. All right. What was your favorite concert ever? Quickly, friends.
Because it is late now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have never been to what people would define as a concert, and I have been to events. I'm Caribbean, right? I'm West Indian. I'm family's from Trinidad. I've been to plenty of venues, and we call them fetes, where things are happening and it's similar to what people would describe as a concert. I've been to a few of those, but none that anybody would recognize as a one particular thing. So yeah.
So this is like kind of a one-off story. One summer I was security at the Gorge for I don't remember, it was one of the tour events they were doing, and I got to basically be security for Foo Fighters as they were playing behind me. That was pretty dope.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That is dope.
My two favorite concerts ever, I saw Cake at Central Park once. Every time I've seen Cake, they've been great. They're the only band I've ever seen more than once. But Central Park was my favorite. It was the first time I saw them, and it was like the third row. Really enjoyed Cake. It's also, yeah, let's not tell the rest of that story. And I went to Rock the Bells one year because Black Star were performing, and I got there just as Black Star performed. And most of the concert was terrible, but Black Star were amazing.
The Decemberist 930 Club Picaresque Tour 2005.
Nice.
Yep. All right, Professor X's. All right, we'll start on the left, which is my second favorite Professor X, but not the one I picked. Who picked this awesome Professor X?
The baby Professor X is my favorite Professor X. It is Krakoa era, which is like literally the only era from which I can actually stand the character. He is the most obnoxious character in comics.
Wow.
But also I love him because he and his clear ex-boyfriend and probably best Marvel character are having a very interesting conversation.
Glazer's right though. Professor X is an awful person, 100%.
Yeah.
I side so much more with Magneto than I do with Professor X.
I love that, like there was a meme fairly recently that was like, Venom turned into hero because people really liked him and he was cool. Magneto turned into hero because as everyone got older, it became harder and harder to prove he was wrong in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah. And Professor X just gaslights everyone all the time. His students, Magneto, everyone. I'll go for the second one. I chose the full body suit Cerebro Pandart one. I just really like this one. I love Pandart's style, and it was between this one and Noir. The Noir one's really good too.
It's funny because I also chose the Pandart, and it was also between the Pandart and the Noir.
We have great taste.
I will throw in an honorable mention to the Hellfire Gala one because I really like that one too.
I feel like he's such a prick. I don't need him in a cape.
I'm going to say I love the tarot card ones, the Midnight Sun variants. They're my favorite, probably my favorite series in the game. And I think the Professor X one is like super outstanding. Like I think it captures like both Professor X as hero and is still sinister in a way that Professor X is kind of both things. And is what I think is interesting about the character, that he is both like heroic and high ideals, but also like as sinister as Mr. Sinister. So I think it's a really, really great image. And if I had infinite money, I would have all.
You haven't read Krakoa, right?
I've read bits and pieces of Krakoa, but I haven't read the whole thing.
I feel like you would really like the Sinister stuff, the Sins of Sinister stuff.
Yeah, I read a bunch of Immortal X-Men. But anyway, all right, we're moving to the end. All right, Flash. What would our loyal listeners and loyal viewers, if they became your loyal listeners and viewers, what would they get from your content, and how can they engage with you?
Sorry, things are falling around me. They would get, and I said this before, I said this last time I was here, just pure, unadulterated honesty in who I am as an individual and what I offer to people. And that is 100% like when I stream, when I make these videos, and streaming specifically, right, because we're interacting with people often, I always tell people, this is who I am. Like if you met me outside or in person, this is generally who you're going to get. Like I'm not here putting on a facade. I'm not trying to pretend to be somebody else. I'm not trying to sell you anything. You're just going to get genuine honesty and like good vibes from me. And that's always how I'm going to perceive retro by myself. That's just who I am. And that's what you're going to get. And come by my streams. You have a good time. Everybody has a good time. And I try to help as many people as I can, no matter what it is I'm doing, whether it's Snap or some other game or whatever, or people start now asking me life questions. I'm a balancer, right? And I try to help people. I've figured out my place in the universe. Don't get too high, too low. I'm there. I'll help you out. And come by my Twitch streams, GamingwithFlashX, and we'll have a good time. We'll talk about some stuff.
I would like to second the vibes are always great in your streams. So
thank you.
So the best rants in the business is what I want to talk about this time. He goes off on a rant probably once every hour and a half or so per stream. And there's a fair amount of them on YouTube. Not like a ton. I feel like you should gear your YouTube content a bit more toward that because it's one of the things that you're distinct for. But your rants are fantastic. They're really interesting. They're really insightful. They're really thoughtful. When you rant, you put your full thought process on display and you work through the problem by talking through it. You constantly take in new information as you think of new things, reconsider ideas. It's really great. I absolutely love the rants. Not that everything else isn't great, but you've now been on multiple times and I like to find different things to say. And I know I personally really, really enjoy the rants. Like they are very honest. They are very open, but they're very like, I really, really like that they consider and then reconsider in the process.
Yeah, then thank you. I appreciate that. And not for nothing, a large part of that is the ADHD, which I tell as many people as somebody living with that disorder and a neurodivergent individual, embrace your things, right? Embrace your strengths. And if you're somebody with ADHD, I will because a lot of people that have that come into my streams, and sometimes they ask me about that. I'm like, it is what it is. It's X, Y, and Z. It's this or the other. It is what it is. And
spoiler: the 5-minute games card game attracted a bunch of people with ADHD.
I mean, to be honest,
a fucking accident.
Yeah,
Snap.
exactly.
That's one of the things that got me with Snap. To be honest, was the 3-minute playtime, because
Exactly.
I also have the ADHD, and it's quick, keeps my attention, and keeps my brain working.
Exactly, and it speaks to that crowd, and we work through these things, and like I said, embrace your ADHD, because you have superpowers built in that once you unlock them, the world opens up to you. So embrace it. Don't let anybody tell you that your ADHD is something that you should be shunned for, because growing 41, growing up as somebody with ADHD, you are frequently told all the things that you're lazy, you're this, you're that, you don't prioritize things, you don't care about things, you don't, and enough of that beats you down over the course of time. But there is a brighter side to things. Embrace your ADHD, because it's wonderful, and it will put you in a better place once you've mastered the art of your superpowers.
That's a very moving approach to it, Flash. All right, Gregor. If our loyal listeners and loyal viewers become your loyal listeners and loyal viewers, what would they find on your content, and how can they engage with you?
They would find good content in terms of Snap, gameplay, or anything else. I put a lot of work into my content. You would also find a very wholesome, very empathetic person who is also neurodivergent. I am autistic and I have the ADHD as well. Also, I'm queer. So I try to create a space that is safe for people of other marginalized identities, whether you are queer, trans, or anything else. You are safe in my community. I try to go over things. I'm really good at explaining things. And that's something that I try to cater to, is explaining why I am doing this, why I'm making a deck this way, why I am playing this turn. These are things I'm thinking about, and I want to help people get better at the game. Or if you have any questions, or if you just want to come into my stream and talk about something that you're really passionate about, let's talk about the things that make us happy and fulfill us. Because that's the kind of thing that breathes life into me. And I think it does the same for you if you enjoy my content. Also, I get into a lot of fitness stuff. So that's also part of it. So if you have questions about fitness, like if you're just starting your fitness journey, even starting just a walking routine, diet, or supplements, my DMs are always open, and I'm always happy to answer any questions. I do not gatekeep knowledge. I am here to help.
And you have some of the best mic settings ever, because Gregor sounds like the best radio person you ever want to listen to.
Guest actually reached out to me about my mic settings.
No. All right. So when I think of Gregor, what I think of is inclusivity. If you're in Gregor's stream, he will have messages play that remind everyone to be kind, that remind everyone to be inclusive fairly consistently. You're getting explained a game at a high level, but there's a constant reminder. There's almost always a charity stream going on recently, at least, I think, for quite a while now. But like, there's always something positive going on that reminds you that the game is a small part of the world that we're all enjoying together, but there's a bigger world and there are more important things. And that perspective, especially in gaming, especially as myopic as Marvel Snap fans can be, like the obsession over the minutia of second dinner, milking this or doing that, I think there's an extreme amount of positivity that comes from a reminder that there are way more important things that we should still all care about, pay attention to, even as we're watching and learning the game. And I love Gregor's content for that.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Fast. Patreon.com/snapjudgments. Roy, ready?
I'm ready.
Abigail Gleason, Matter Turban, Cables, David G. Wingfield, Direwolf, LAB, FaThorNewman, Good Dog Gamer, This Is the Way, Ink, Jane Every, Tatum, Tonlito, Caretix, Lee, Quire, Pyrofrost, The Goat Secret, Demon Doku, Ginger Prime, Philip Rakos, Haplo, Kenny Loggins, Rob Silverman, The Beza, XOC, and Skippy G, Simon Echoes, King of Bros, Black Dahlia, Great Kazoo, Jessica Gamble, Ryan Wood, Kev C. Hodo, Luna Chris, Louis Antunes, Models, Darth Tater, Mahema Satala, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Fuzzy Dunlop, Spectrum Mix, Hoot, Matt H., Becky Hedgings, Noflex, Ocularis, Christary, Pretty Chill, Seamus, Spike Jones, Two Ties, The Pirate King,
Almost
Tuccrr.
fast.
I ran out of breath. The Pirate King Tuccrr, The Homie Minute, of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for I still have to do tomorrow's video, and I need to sleep at some point.
That was very impressive.
Just
Lot
a
of
quick
practice
reminder
on
of how to engage with us if you enjoyed my favorite moment of every episode, which Glazer not quite hitting everything this time, but still love you, buddy. Our Twitter is at SnapJudgeCast.
I didn't miss names, did I?
You just didn't do the full speed ahead. Our Twitter is at SnapJudgeCast. We are proud to be the official podcasting partner of Marvel Snap Zone. Please join the Discord. Link is in the description of this episode. Our email is snapjudgmentspodcast@gmail.com. And you can find Glazer reading that Patreon list 7 days a week at Snap Judgments Pod on YouTube. All right, Flash. Thank you so much for joining us once again.
Yes, sir.
Welcome
Thank
back.
you for having me. Appreciate it. It's always a pleasure. And then, aside from streaming, doing podcast stuff is one of my favorite things to do.
It's fun. It's like just having a nice conversation with people about the things that we all enjoy and are passionate about.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Gregor, you are also welcome back anytime, and we appreciate you being on this week.
Absolutely. I'd love to come on again. If you ever need somebody, just hit me up.
Awesome.
Hey.
Well, Aaron, this brings us to the end of yet another episode of Snap Judgments. I am grateful each and every week to do this show with you, my friend.
Peace and love, everybody.
All right, loyal listeners, that brings us to another end of another episode of Snap Judgments. I'm just going to take one quick second here to sort of remind our loyal listeners and loyal viewers that life can change and situations can change very rapidly. So I hope after listening to this episode that you reach out to and talk to a loved one, member of your family, member of your community, and tell them how much you appreciate them and how much they mean to you. It will mean a lot, and you will definitely never regret being kind and reaching out to other people. Well, until next time, friends, have a great week. Stay safe and keep on snapping.